The following is brought to you by the People's National Party.
Make the trumpets play. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them graves. To get champion, we can do it together. When we look to the future of precipice, we see Jamaica needs the vision of the PNP. People said the bag of promises, them can't carry go shop. And the crime rate getting higher, wonder when it all goes now, comrades. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. To get champion.
The proceeding was brought to you by the People's National Party. The following is brought to you by the People's National Party.
Make the trumpets play. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. To get champion, we can do it together. When we look to the future of precipice, we see Jamaica needs the vision of the PNP. People said the bag of promises, them can't carry go shop. And the crime rate getting higher, wonder when it all goes now, comrades. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. To get champion.
The proceeding was brought to you by the People's National Party.
The scale of dealing with anti-corruption issues. So there is a learning curve that we are going through. What is important is that the government supports the development of the institution so it can accelerate very quickly on that learning curve and provide the resources so that they can move very quickly on the learning curve, and that the government does not intervene or interfere. And that message goes to the opposition as well. Leave the anti-corruption and policing agencies to do their jobs. I know why you come to me with that foolishness, you know. You elect a prime minister, and is a prime minister run the country. It is time we learn to hold our leaders accountable for their actions and stop making excuses for them. Stop making excuses. Otherwise, go elect the people who really run in the country. And I don't want the right kind of stupid argument. Hold the people you elect accountable. And stop making excuses for them.
Hello, welcome. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to everyone in television land. Happy Tuesday to our silent supporters. Happy Tuesday to everyone in the chat. Hope everyone has had a wonderful and productive start of the week so far. Please remember, when you come in, thumbs up the live, share us out if you can. And if you're new to the channel, please show some support by subscribing, which will be greatly appreciated. Tonight's topic is morals and ethics matters with your host, Byron and Marie, Pastor Ricky Melting Pot, and we will be joined by Mr. Rattigan a bit later. So before we go into the program, let me just quickly welcome those in the chat. Patel Cruikshaw, Merlin Molioson, Damian Goss, Carla Ebanks, Yvonne Johnson, Noreen McLean, Truck Life, Rennie Swaby, Louis Longshaw, Leighton Brown, Don Mel, Sam Allen, Laris Beckford, Cecile Phillips, Carol Watson, Chrisani Frey, Bloomy Coleman, Devon Fletcher, Dorothy McCoy, Pamela Okolo, Yvonne Johnson, Rosa, Angela Cole, KJ, Mark Jack, welcome, Sonia James. And before we get into the program, Universal, welcome, JP, welcome. Let me just ask Pastor Ricky to start us out with a word of prayer.
Yeah, good evening again, Lady Anne-Marie, Sir Byron, Sir Melting Pot, Sir Ratigan, and everyone in the chat. Let us pray. Father, we thank you once again as we, your people, are gathered in your name, in your presence. We ask, mighty God, that you'll breathe a fresh wind upon each and every household that is watching this live tonight. We thank you for your daughter, Lady Anne Marie, as you navigate through her thoughts and her thinking and her fingers. We pray that the technology, the computer, the mouse, the keyboard, the clips, the videos, the documents, that everything will be flowing in orderly, no glitches, no problems. We thank you for your son, Sir Byron. Continue to guide his thoughts and his thinking as he explain and exegetes the revelation and the information to the audience. We thank you for your son, Sir Melton Pot, and his wife. Bless them, bless his children, bless their grandchildren, keep them safe and secure. Remember your son, and we thank you for Sir Ratigan for his healing. We thank you that you're a healer, you're a deliverer, you're a way maker. Bless his household, children, and family. Continue to bless those in the chat, their spouses, children, and family, and everyone who reach and watching. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Thank you for that wonderful prayer, Pastor Ricky. And of course, tonight we have the Full Metal Jacket here tonight. All right, we have in the space, right? Of course, Brother Ratigan, who had, I hope that his ailment is in the rear view mirror, right? And he's here with us tonight, and we're happy for that. We have none other than the man with the sledge, right? The melting pot. And you know that when melting pot pass through. All right, Pastor Ricky is there to pray and smooth it now. All right, so without any delay, I'm just going to have, of course, Brother Ratigan meet and greet his people. Long time, it seems like it's gone over here that Ratigan has not passed through. But no, he's back with us, fresh and brand new.
Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear and clear.
Loud and clear. Listen, man. Melting pot, big up yourself, Pastor Ricky. Thanks for the prayers, everybody. Thanks for the prayers, Lady Anna and Lord Byron. And all of the listeners out there and the viewers. Listen, let me tell you something. It feels like a year. Feels like a year.
Exactly.
And when you see me not come out on the program, you know, so me not being in some pretty bad shape, you know, but yes, all praise is due to the Almighty. But they are rearing and ready to go. And just want people to know that this is the first program apart. For the last 2-3 weeks, I've only done like 2 programs, just my Saturday program. This is the first program I come on. And you know, so I couldn't miss that one. In fact, I called Byron feeling sorry for me because he said, I don't really want to bother you because you're sick. I said, no, man, I'm ready, put me on. So they are people.
That's it. And we really appreciate that. Now, melting pot in the space, you know, people, remember, you know, we can't wait for melting pot to unleash later because we have all the evidence here as it relates to certain investigation that we're also going to reveal. All right, melting pot, meet and greet your people.
Yeah, man, greetings once again, to everyone out there. It's a pleasure to be here sharing the space once again on this blessed Tuesday night. I must say big up to Mr. Ratigan. Welcome back to the platform, sir. Yeah, man, you know, it's time in times of trial and tribulation, we're all here for each other. So welcome back to the space. Indeed. Yeah, I must big up Lord Byron. It's a new name I hear Ratigan about tonight. But if we have the lady and we have the Lord, so we have a big up Lord Byron, you know, and him and the host. Yes. And we have a big up Lady Anne Marie, the technical director. Definitely. Big up a Pastor Ricky, the man with the prayer. Right. Tonight, you know, say a fire people, a fire tonight, you know. Right. A fire man. Because the man for the show say him have the evidence. And you know where them have the evidence, you know. Everything over here so concrete up.
Exactly.
No loose wall, no tabloid. So you know tonight we are gonna proceed as usual. Yeah, dissect as we go along. Yeah. And see about the corruption because people, the corruption rampant in Jamaica, you know. No 2 ways about it. The government of the day just feel like, so well, then it's a play field we give them. We don't give them a country for run. So them just a play with the thing. So we have to come here tonight and beat them till Yama Ben. Where's the Pastor Ricky?
Yeah, man, big up Father Lonesome, the man in the wilderness, beating them till the Yama Ben. But tonight, Mystica rise up the bomber then. Yeah, man.
All right.
Amen.
Yeah, man. Big up the Titan boss, Father Lonesome. So right, we are going to actually get into the program. Today, of course, we are going to lend our thoughts as it relates to what transpired today with Jamaica for Justice. And, you know, it is quite surprising in terms of the objectives as it relates to Jamaica for Justice, right? Appealing, right, for justice. And, you know, as it relates to their mission in terms of identify what we call extrajudiciary killing. And it is quite despicable that we see the government want to oppose that, right? And so then we want to make sure that the message is clear in terms of what, right, JFJ, right, campaign about and, you know, and lobby on behalf of justice. So we want to say to the government that the government need to understand the issues as it relates to what JFJ, right, is lobbying about. What JFJ is lobbying about is extrajudiciary killing. JFJ is not against the Jamaica Constabulary Force, right? Our platform is not against the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Rattigan, Melting Pot, Pastor Ricky, no social media platform are against the Jamaica Constabulary Force. As a matter of fact, we have to depend on our police officers, right, to protect and preserve and serve accordingly. But what we are talking about is police, right, go contrary against the law. Remember that the policemen and women have to obey the law, particularly the constitutional laws and the laws of the land. And so then the policemen and women, they are not above the law. And so then what we are going to present tonight is to show, so in order to not allow the government ulterior motive, because we know what the government is doing. You know. The government want to, you know, set violence between the citizen and the police. And then want to say that it is the People's National Party, right, pushing this fire. Come on, we have seen this before. Remember, we had gone through 1980 in terms of the trickery and the violence, and where over 800 lives have been caused. We have seen that the government is trying to search to find something to delay the election. It is not going to work, Prime Minister. So we are going to break down and show some evidence as it relates to the reason as to why JFJ was out there, right, campaigning for justice. So if the government go against that, then the government is saying, actually, that they stand on the side as it relates to supporting extrajudiciary killings. So we are going to show some of the clips why JFJ was out there. So JFJ is not going against police. JFJ is not anti-police. We Jamaican people are in support of the police. So the Prime Minister must not get it twisted. I am blaming the Prime Minister. I am blaming the Minister of National Security. I am blaming the Commissioner of Police. Now, let me remind the Prime Minister, as it relates to the people that his government is targeting, as it relates to extrajudiciary killings. We are not saying that the police must not pursue criminals, right, and investigate properly and process them properly. We are 100% in agreement right, as it relates to the police officers, right, to pursue criminals. We are not anti-police. We are pro-police. We support the police. We stand for the police. So let me say that loud and clear to all Jamaican Constable Force officers. We stand to support you. What we are talking about those police officers who had gone rogue in the system. So for decent police officers, men and women, please, we are not addressing you tonight. Now, let me remind the Prime Minister, as it relates to how the Prime Minister conveniently want to use, right, these ghetto youths. Right, it is the Prime Minister when it comes for support, political support to keep him in office, that the Prime Minister, right, Andrew Holness, right, speaks good about these ghetto youths and say that every ghetto youth is a star. Prime Minister, I want you to remember that, you know. It is you, right, who said every ghetto youth is a star. So let us remind you, Prime Minister, what you said on this first. Without any delay, let us remind Andrew Holness, right, while he's seeking votes and telling every ghetto youth is a star. Let us remind him of what he said. Let us remind him.
Just my belief. One DJ said it far more eloquently than I could say it. Every ghetto youth is a star. And I want every ghetto youth to realize that dream. Not prosperity for some tapanaris, not prosperity for some big shot, not prosperity for a few, but prosperity must be shared for all Jamaicans. Prosperity, therefore, was the mission to move Jamaicans from poverty to prosperity in a fair and equitable shared prosperity.
Now, my Jamaican people, when you listen to the Prime Minister and what the Prime Minister said, prosperity for all. And when you look on the Prime Minister prosperity, before the Prime Minister ventured into politics, and now as we speak, the Prime Minister is a billionaire. Trust me, that's an awesome prosperity for the Prime Minister. And some of his members of Parliament, whom, you know, I'm just diving in illicit enrichment. Diving as it relates to only a few within the elites bubble have seen that prosperity. We look on the rise of poverty, but let us not drift. We want to show the Prime Minister as it relates to the reason as to why JFJ was out there. And this is history that I'm going to show the Prime Minister, evidence that I'm going to show the Prime Minister, right, why JFJ was out there. Let us go to the human rights.
Hold on, let me just give this person them visa out of the chat to just let all them family get visa and I give them one to come out of the chat.
Okay. Human rights, Jamaica Human Rights Report. Let us show, right, as it relates to the situation in terms of the reason, the real reason, and why I don't know why the government is trying to twist the reason as to why JFJ was out there. Now, this is Jamaica 2023 now. Remember, this is 2023, 2 years prior to this event. Jamaica 2023 Human Rights Report Executive Summary. So let me show the Prime Minister the evidence. Why JFJ is there? There were no significant changes in the human rights situation in Jamaica during the year. Significant human rights issues including credible reports of arbitrary or unlawful killings, and which I am going to use video clip evidence to support this report, to show unfairness, not to twist the reason as to why JFJ was out there campaigning. JFJ is not campaigning against Jamaica Constabulary Force. JFJ is not anti-police. JFJ is pro-police, providing that they carry out their lawful duty. So we want the Jamaica Labour Party administration to get that. Don't twist it, right? For your ulterior motives. Don't twist it. Don't get it twisted. So let us read that over again. Significant human rights issues including credible reports, which I'm going to show. Arbitrary of unlawful killings. This is a fact. Including extrajudicial killings. Cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment by the government. This is a fact. Harsh and life-threatening conditions in prisons and detention facilities. Arbitrary arrests or detention. Serious government corruption. Extensive gender-based violence. Substantial barriers to reproductive health services. Laws criminalizing consensual same-sex sexual conduct between adults. Although the government did not enforce the law during the year, and crimes involve violence targeting lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or intersex persons. The government did not take credible steps to identify and punish officials who may have committed human rights abuses. This is not coming from, this is an international body. You know. Country reports on human rights practices for 2023, United States Department of State's Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights and Labor. So we want to take it away on it. We want to show something, you know. That guess what? JFJ did not just come out there because JFJ said, you know what? Me just hear the police, them and you understand and blah, blah, blah. Evidence as it relates to report that penned 2 years prior to this incident, speaking about Andrew Holness-led government. Strong evidence. So now, since we set the issue straight, since we guide the argument into a particular perspective, which is positive as it relates to the real reason as to why JFJ is campaigning for justice, we are going to show now clear evidence of what JFJ is campaigning about. And this still continues to happen under Jamaica Labour Party administration. So I am saying, if the government witnessing these evidence, seeing these evidence, and still hell-bent, right, in having certain members of the police force who gone rogue and those who becomes GLP operative working on behalf of the Jamaica Labour Party, not Jamaica, then we have a problem. So we are going to show the world the evidence. Now, let us move to clip number 1. Show the evidence as to why JFJ, right, is there. Now, this what I'm going to show you is about a mental person. Mental ill person. Mental ill person where the police responded to a situation and the mental person, right, was gunned down by the police. We are going to show clear evidence that the mental person was walking away from the police. Walking away from the police. He has a machete in his hand, let me say. But he wasn't walking towards the police, was going away from the police. So the police lives were not in danger. And the police shot this man more than 5 times. People, bear evidence number 1. Tip number 1. Let us show that and show the real reasons why JFJ was there. Real reasons. They want to have this government.
I am king.
Oh my God, them killer Kerry. The man chop up him father to rascal. Oh my God. Kerry killing father to rascal and get shot. Oh my God.
Yes. And let us straighten out that news, because Okere did not kill his father, right? They have an incident in the morning where his father got shot. It is the father who had called the police, so let us correct that. It's the father who had called the police. But what we had witnessed that when the police upon arrival, right, talking to Okere, if you notice people in the local, Okere was walking away from them, and the police said, drop the machete and start to fire, start to shoot. This is what we are talking about. This is what is evident. Now, let us go to clip number 2.
Okay.
Let us go to clip number 2.
Listen, yo! Officer, do me a big January star. Officer, Andre here, the man! Andre, Officer January star, me a tell you.
Now, take it of it.
Big retailers don't.
Take that of it. This person was handcuffed, regardless of what people want to say. Handcuffed, and you have 2 policemen there. And while in handcuffed, what sort of danger that this man could pose to the police being handcuffed. And the policeman, point blank range, shoot him 4 times in his abdomen. Handcuff. But I am going to show JFJ something as it relates to these officers and the breach that these officers are done. And I want to show Jamaica the evidence as it relates to what we call the use of force theory. And then I'm going to make the panel break down everything what we had showed. Now, let us go to the use of force theory. All Jamaicans, I want you to look on the use of force theory. How police must use force. This is written. This is law. So let us look on the use of force theory. Let us go to the use of force theory. Right? And let us show this to JFJ. Let us show this to JFJ as it relates to the use of force theory. And when we read the use of force theory, we are going to realize that what we have seen, what we have witnessed, is a fundamental wrong. Now, I want Jamaica to tell me if the police officers follow the use of force theory. And that's why I do the research. Now, In Jamaica, the use of force by the Jamaica Conservative Force is guided by the principle of proportionality, meaning the force used must be proportionate to the threat and the objective to be achieved. The Jamaica Conservative Force also emphasizes the necessity. May I talk to the Commissioner of Police, may I talk to may I talk to the Minister of National Security, may I talk to Andrew Ones. So listen now, this is what I am saying. The Jamaica Conservative Force, and this is what you have written. This is what you have written, Orestron. This is what you have written, the Commissioner of Police. The Jamaica Conservative Force also emphasizes necessity requiring that force be used only when other means are ineffective or there is no reasonable prospect of achieving the objective without risking harm. The JSF policy also stresses accountability, requiring reports of all uses of force, regardless of injury, to be made and to an immediate supervisor. Let us go to document number 2. Let us go to document number 2. We want to show Jamaica the fundamental wrong. The fundamental wrong. Force should only be used, and let us go to necessity. What does it mean? Force should only be used when other means, such as persuasions or de-escalation tactics, have been exhausted and there is no reasonable alternative. Want to hear that, people? This including using non-lethal options whenever possible. Accountability. All uses of force, including those involved less lethal weapons, must be documented and reported to an immediate supervisor. This includes reports regardless of whether the subject was injured. Use of firearms. Firearms can only be used when there is a serious threat of death. People want to know. You read this, you know. This is what I want people to understand. Where Jamaica Conservative Force seems like the first means in the use of force theory is to go for a weapon. Hear what it says in terms of the use of firearms. Firearms can only be used when there is a serious threat of death or serious injury or a grave threat to life. The use of firearm is generally restricted to situations where it is necessary for self-defense or to prevent harm to others. Firearms and ammunition are stored in designated locations, are only issued to trained officers with a justifiable reason to take it away. Now let me go to the panel and let me go to Brother Rattigan because he has not been here for over a year now. Now, Brother Rattigan, as it relates to the use of force theory and as it relates to what you have witnessed, right, and how the use of force theory apply, particularly when it comes to the firearm. From those 2 clips, Rattigan, I wanted to speak to John Public. If you had observed any at all where those policemen's lives were in danger and where they couldn't use other alternatives to have the person contained. Please speak, Brother Ratty.
All right. Let me say the State Department report you put out says 2023. It's actually the most current one because the 2024 one will be issued this year, and then 2025 will be issued in 2026. So it's current. And
okay, thank you.
And just think about it. The extrajudicial killings have gone up significantly in 2025 compared to 2023 and 2024. So you can just imagine what the State Department 2025 report is going to reveal. It's going to be damning.
Damning.
Regarding the 2 clips that you showed, And then we went through the use of force policy. They talk about proportionality. Yes, if you look at it, where's the proportionality? The guys, at least the second one that we could see was handcuffed, right? And he was surrounded by policemen. And then they talk about non-lethal force. Non-lethal force, remember now, this JCF, the Prime Minister, Minister of National Security and others, they've trumpeted this thing called transformation. And you hear them say it all the time, that the force has been transformed since 2016 because of Plan Secure Jamaica, because of budget, because of this. So they said they're well equipped. Others would take issue with that. But let's say they're well equipped. You just have to ask yourself the question, where are the body cams? Because the videos you show, they were from others. They weren't from the police. Then exactly. Where's the pepper spray? They said they have pepper spray. They said they're transformed. Where is the collapsible batons? The metal baton that you flick it out and it extends and you hit people in the joints. Where's that? Where are the tasers? These are all non-lethal weaponry that you can use to subdue somebody who's not acting in compliance with the orders issued by the police. So from where I sit, it's straight out murder. There is no way around it. It's straight out murder. Question: are those officers being charged? Are those officers being prosecuted? No. We haven't heard anything. But when you shoot somebody who's defenseless and you kill them, that's murder. When you shoot somebody who is handcuffed, and from what I could say, any resistance could have been easily quelled. Because when the person going around, I'm handcuffed. And then also there are some other videos, and I know you have them because I've seen them on this program before. Yes. There's one where they took the guy behind the house. Yes. And he had a gunshot, and that's it. There's another one where they brought some people and they have them on the knees. These people, these things that you're watching, that we're all witnesses to, these things are gross human rights violations, subject to Magnitsky consequences. And that's why we ask you to go out and sign the Magnitsky petition, because these are the things that will be included in that yes. work product. And the petition is just the icing on the cake. So in sum, what I witnessed a while ago, straight out murder. There must be some prosecution. They must be held accountable. We haven't heard anything. I know. But we're going to keep talking, because that's the way it started. You see JFJ out there. That's the way it started. Just by talking and showing these things and getting into people's consciousness. And then people start taking action. So I hope to see more protests like what we saw today. And I know that you, Melting Pot, Pastor Ricky and others, they're going to keep burning the fire and keeping people aware of everything that's going on, because we just can't take it anymore. We just can't take it and say, oh, well, and then move on. And then it's a 9-day wonder. We can't do that. These are people's like, these people are not coming back, They're not coming back. They're not injured. They're killed. And so we have to take a stand, because if we don't, who will? Exactly. All right. Now, Pastor Ricky, you have seen that space. I know that melting pot of the sledge, but we could just rest the sledge for a bit. Now, Pastor Ricky, juggle on in the space in terms of what we have presented in terms of, because the government is trying to put a spin in terms of what JFJ has been doing. They want to put a spin to say that JFJ is anti-police and going against police. JFJ is not doing that, right? JFJ is definitely speaking about extrajudiciary killing. And I think that the government should recognize that, right? And try to understand what JFJ mission is all about, right? And try to utilize corrective behaviors, right? To move forward. But obviously the government is saying no, right? They are going to double down in terms of what they are doing. Take it away, Pastor.
Yeah, thank you, sir, Byron. I want to say you know, big respects to Miss Jackson and the JFF staff and team that organized today's protests as a first step. It sent a significant message to the government that we're serious about the complaints of extrajudicial killings. Um, the State Department document you just showed, it started out by saying that there is no change from the previous year, which was fiscal year 2022. And so that document that is for 23 is identical to the same situation, judicial killings in 2022. So there was no change. Now, when the prime minister comes out and try to draw a wedge between advocacy group of human rights, you know, standing for the standards and the constitutional rights of individual, to paint them as if they're a terrorist organization and they're anti-police, when we all know that JFJ has contributed and advocated for police body cams to have, and other equipment that they need to have to help them to perfect the art of policing. And they have also called over the years for better community police relationships between citizens and the police. So they have supported the JCF in so many ways prior to this peaceful protest. It was not a demonstration, it was a protest to lobby the government to provide body cams. The national security minister, I heard the tape, he publicly states they don't need to wear body cams. And that is so wrong, because the body cams can also benefit the police in incidents when they are right. It can prove that they were right in what they're doing. As in contrast, the body cams can also show the gross violation of human rights abuse and civil rights and constitutional rights abuses. So it works both ways. Why is it Chang, the prime minister, and the commissioner of police is becoming a stumbling block to having the equipment that they need? Because in America, every last police division has to have a body cam. They have to wear it. It's part of their uniform. Just like they have to have their gun and their badge, it's part of their uniform. So when the prime minister sent a signal that today's protest is an attack against the police, he know he was dead wrong. It is not an attack on the police. Nobody that I have friends that are in the JCF currently right now. I have friends that left the JCF that I still communicate with. I have family members who serve in the U.S. Armed Forces, and I have lots of friends who are ministers who serve in the police, different police department in here, right here in the United States. Nobody is against the police. You have to have law enforcement. Without laws, you will have lawlessness, chaos, and confusion and breakdown of civilization. So nobody in their right frame of mind is against having the police. What Jamaica for Justice is against is that if you listen to the protest today, they were advocating strongly for the use of body cams to protect the lives of citizens. We live in this space here in America where we have the constitutional rights of freedom and freedom of speech and freedom of privacy. The same is in the Constitution, Section 3 of the Jamaican Constitution, that was revised in 2011 that speaks to the fundamental rights of freedoms and privacy. We have the right of life and the pursuit of happiness in the entrenched in the Constitution. Every citizen have the right to life and the freedom of, of enjoying life. The government should not become such a violators of the Constitution's rights and civil rights of people. One last point. So when the Prime Minister and Chang came out today and said they're wearing blue to stand with the police as a symbol that we support whatever the police do, they're right in their approach to how they fight crime. It is so wrong. It sends the wrong message. It divides, it sends a wedge of division between the police and the citizens. And here we have lawmakers who are actually lawbreakers. If you read the IC report, you have a lawmaker who was part of SSL, who stole 31 million US dollars. And then you have a national security minister whose name is in WikiLeaks as a drug trafficker, a money launderer, and a leader of a gang. And so to say you're standing with the police when you have a character that is questionable, it is so unfair to what Jamaica for Justice is doing. So I applaud Ms. Jackson and the Jamaica for Justice organization. And don't feel bad. This is your first protest. When Sir Rattigan and the One Jamaica Legal Defense team, when they went their first protest in Florida, it was only 30, and it grew from 30 to a couple hundreds. So, continue to fight the fight and don't get discouraged, because the more you do this, the more the government, you will send a stronger message to the government that this is unacceptable and should not be tolerated in a democracy.
Okay, well said. Let us move on. I am somewhat confused as it relates to Andrew Owens and Horace Strong out there standing solidarity with the police. I am, and the reason why I'm confused, because obviously I am confused because you have two known criminals standing in solidarity with the police. So I am confused, right? Because we have a prime minister, right, breach so many laws and try to become a stumbling block to avoid prosecution and do all what he can do, you understand, in avoiding to be prosecuted. We see where the prime minister make a move to remove the illicit enrichment, right, to throw out the Corruption Act. And here he is today, standing in solidarity with the police. He needs to move himself. Now, Melting Pot, take over the space because I'm upset.
We are all upset because, for the Prime Minister and the Minister of National Security, coming out and standing in solidarity with the police as it relates to what we say go on the extrajudicial killing, the state killing them, we say go on the brutalization of Jamaican citizens. It shows that the Prime Minister and the Minister of National Security is against the citizens of Jamaica.
Exactly.
But first and foremost, I want Andrew Wallace to understand fully well that Jamaica for Justice is a civil organization group that is charged with the responsibility of human rights in Jamaica. And in so, it has the backing of the International Human Rights Organization. And that cannot be challenged. So if Jamaica for Justice see that we have a crisis in Jamaica currently as it relates to the amount of civilian that policemen has killed since the beginning of the year, it shows that there's an upsurge in this type of activity. And this is what Jamaican for Justice is there for, to come out and make public reference as it relates to such action. because something has to be done. The force that we see that the Jamaica Constabulary Force members are exhibiting is not the force of law. When it comes to apprehending suspected citizens, it must be done in an orderly and transparent manner. Force of nature cannot be the alternative to arresting someone. We're not seeing any arrests being done. What we see is people being murdered, cold-blooded, and then lies being told, and that is a disgrace against the deceased person. You can imagine you kill a man cold-blooded without any, reason of consequence. But then have the audacity to tell a lie on the dead individual that shoot out and all these things and that them have all 9mm with so much round. Now them think they have to stop because this is a part of corruption. But we know Andrew Wallace was getting to that type of activity, because we have seen where everything else that he has implemented has crumbled around him. And he wants an extension in time as the Prime Minister. But that cannot be granted or given to Andrew Wallace. Andrew Wallace have to leave the space of politics because of Andrew Wallace's doings to Jamaicans. He's not surplus to requirement as the Prime Minister. The Minister of National Security, Dr. Krabs, should be behind bars long time for all the various criminal activity that he's involved with. Running gangs, drug trafficking, money laundering and all these things. These are not reputable people that is serving Jamaican currently. So Jamaica for justice come out because something is happening that raised their eyebrow. So they have to come out and, make a speech on the matter, make a protest on the matter. Something has to be done. It can't be just the order of the day where the police them is just, sign on for duty and the duty is to kill. What about arresting? What about investigating? What about diffusing? So Jamaica for Justice is a recognized organization in Jamaica and cannot be challenged by Andrew Wallace and him nasty operative where him have and go around with him. So I'm just making it loud and clear tonight. Jamaica for Justice must be left alone to do their work. We don't want anyone come out and call in Jamaica for Justice anti-police. It's a pro-police organization, so to speak, because it upholds justice, and that's what police is there for. So, we shape our farm, Jamaica for Justice would be against police if police is working to the right rules and regulation. Police now have desecrated the force in a way that the force is unrecognizable. The uniform dressing is despicable. The actual behavior is the worst anywhere in the world. Jamaican police say anything and do anything disrespecting the uniform of the Jamaica Constabulary Force.
Yeah, I can say
disrespecting the badge.
Well, I meant those who gone wrong, because at all of the police officers, we have several police officers, men and women, who are decent.
Byron, you know, say the real policeman, them know, say we stand 100% in solidarity, them, and we don't use the broad brush. Them know that already. Because we highlight that to them. Them know where I'm going. Them know we are talking about the garbage, them, man. We each up now the police force, man.
Exactly, my boss.
The real policeman, they must salute them 150%, man.
Yes,
because we know them, man, they work for the cause of Jamaicans. But we are talking about the garbage. We handle them fast track and recruit now the police force. Where man Chang organize. Yeah? The death squad where them are run, and them people we are talking about. And them who say I go run and a cause mayhem in the society. Because them now have nothing more to do no more than just come out and just mash up Jamaica, Because all of them are criminals. All of them are drugs pushers. Them involved in a lot of things that doesn't coincide with them job description. So we stand 100% in solidarity with Jamaica for justice and the young, you know, cause of concern I have is that it take them too long to come out. We want Jamaica for justice, for jump to the cause of the Jamaican citizen when them see things that go wrong and don't take too long to come out.
Exactly.
Because when we stay long to come out and face these criminals where we have in government, then them feel like so well then them cannot be challenged. So we have to turn on the heat on them. A more civil group in Jamaica, like the umbrella group of churches, we don't need to come out too. Because if we don't come out, we have to label them. We have to go label them as fascists, supporting a regime that is corrupted. So come out and stand in solidarity with Jamaica for justice. Stand in solidarity with the citizens, the hard-working men and women in Jamaica, the decent school children that are going to school to get their education, the man on the street corner that is selling panelists stall, the taxi operator, the bus driver, them, the conductor. Stand in solidarity to them because we know them have to go through a lot of hardship with the police on a day-to-day basis because the police feed on these people in society. Them use the people as a hustling tool. Them want to throw a big part out of the people, and that's why we have the corruption in Jamaica. And it have to address people like Horace Strong to move out of the Ministry of National Security. He's a criminal. The Prime Minister will leave the place because he's not credible and him don't supposed to be running as a Prime Minister. Him supposed to be behind bars long time. Jamaicans have been giving Andrew Holness too much leeway. And it's time we put an end to all these corruption and these malpractices what we see are going on in Jamaica. The citizens of Jamaica must have the rights at all time and it must be protected by the policemen and women that we put there as a part of the civil servant society group in Jamaica. They are charged with the responsibility of protecting and reassure the citizens of Jamaica and making sure that everything is done orderly. That's what policemen and women are trained for. And they must not be aligned to any government. The police force must be independent. Cannot be, you know, on one side. It has to have a balance. And the balance must be in the middle between the two parties. And I rest my case and yield the floor to another member of the panel.
All right.
May I?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. You know, this is a very, very simple issue. Today, very, very simple issue, the protest. If you look at the purpose of the protest, twofold, essentially. One, extrajudicial killings, and a subset of that is the body cams, because they're saying they're killing people and we don't see any evidence. We just hear from that this person attacked them and so on and so forth. So that's it. Now, as Melting Pot eloquently said and Pastor Ricky said, you said it as well. It's not anti-police, you know. It's against bad actors in the police force wearing police uniform committing crimes. It's not anti-police because, like you said, the overwhelming majority of the JCF, they are hardworking, dedicated, committed public servants doing what they took the oath to do, to uphold the law, to provide security and safety for the people of Jamaica, to investigate. So the idea that they would put out this spin that it's anti-police, people in a sense can look right through this and say it's nonsense. They're complaining because of extrajudicial killings and the lack of body cameras. Now let me read you something here quickly. I read you something, and this is from, we call it the Morgan's Manual. And that is, when I say Morgan's Manual, we're talking about the spokesperson. When name and first name start with M, and then we want to forget them name. Marlon, yeah. No, Him edit something, you know. He might edit something, call it the Morgan's Manual, also known as Morgan's Handbook, also known as the JLP Manifesto. Now, on page 44, they made a promise to the people of Jamaica. And I'll read you the promise under the heading Increased Reliance on Application of Technology through Measures, including, this is for the JCF. One of them, you know what it says? This is 2020, 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago. Deployment of body-worn cameras. Yes. And me write it. Marlon Morgan time edit this thing, so we call it Marlon's Handbook or Marlon's Manual. Them say this is one of the things that we want the policemen to wear the body camera. No, you notice the other day they said, oh, but you know, and even the Prime Minister come up with this lame excuse. We didn't have the system, the backup system to download and do this and do this and do that. Yet still they tell you that them are the brightest minds in Jamaica. How the hell can you talk about people wearing body cameras and you don't realize, almost 5 years ago, you don't realize that you have to have a backup system to download and do this, and you don't realize that? And by the way, they should have realized that even before that, because guess what? Peter Bunting received a gift of body cameras from the US Embassy before 2016. So you tell me, say, nobody knew. Them take over that 2016 and the police had the body cameras them. And they didn't realize that you're going to need a backup system to download and this and that and that. They only realize it in 2025. Come on, people. We might look like we're born a night, but not last night. A long time ago, we're born a night. I yield.
All right. But you know, how hypocritical Andrew Holness is that it relates to his administration, because the real issue, you know, right, is that they're supposed to deal with the police officers' wages and to ensure that you know, rank and file police officers getting a livable salary. And because they are not able to do that, they're using all sort of confusion to confuse the police officer. But let me talk to the JTM. What we need, right, is not for Andrew Holness to come out and shield some rogue officers and act as if he's defending Jamaica Constabulary Force. He's not doing that. What Andrew Holness needs to do is to understand that the Jamaica Constabulary Force men and women need livable salary. This was one of the issues as it relates to police benefits that Chairman Rowan James was fighting for. So Jamaica Constabulary Force rank and file police officers, I want you to listen to what Mystic Sensation is saying and what the panel is saying. Don't be confused. And make Andrew Holness and Horace Chang, you understand, out there today, as it relates to their ulterior motive. What needs to be done to the Jamaica Constabulary Force, that they need to recognize that the men and women of the police force and other civil workers, right, need to get a good, livable wage. So them themselves take 200 and 300% raise and them are right. They are okay. And so then, they're not able now, you understand, to deliver, to make you people okay like, oh, they are okay. So, rank and file, I want you to bear in mind, as it relates to what they have done, Chairman Rowan James.
James.
Yes, they booted him out because he is defending the benefits of the rank and file police officers. So don't make Andrew Holness and Horace turn up and I try to defend some rogue police and make it look like, and I try to twist it. No, Jamaica people, we got match them up tonight.
Hold on. Give me 30 seconds, Sir Byron.
That's what I'm Pastor Ricky, because I want to drive home certain points here. Hold on, we're going to make you come back in this space. Just give me a minute. Let me drive home certain points. Now, let me say this. I want people to understand where I'm going now. In SFL, we had lost $4.5 billion from investors.
4.5.
$4.5 billion from investors. Let me ask a question. I ask Andrew Holness an Orishang question. Did any of you jump out and support those investors who had lost their money? Any of you jump out and defend those investors who lost their money? Who not going to jump out and defend those investors? Because when you're guilty, several GLP accounts in SSL, and they were well paid and benefited from investors' fund. So, Andrew Holness, did you come out and defend investors? Just silent, you're dead silent. Orishang, did you come out and defend investors? And me hear somebody run at the corner of the ball out, and say, oh God, tonight, Byron, do Mystic Sensation. You understand? What the one that Darryl Vaz, nobody call me name tonight, because you know some me, the captain for all of them JP accounts. Why you know SSL? No, me have to call a name. Because you make sure that all of them JP accounts there, well fed after investors back. You understand? And rob investors' money, and to make sure, sir. You understand the mastermind? The mastermind, because the two mastermind SSL Avenue. Andrew Holness, and of course, you Prosperi. So now, did we see Andrew Holness come out and defend those investors? You run down out now, then defend road police. You defend road police, want to the investors' money. Hold on there. But I make Pastor Ricky same little bit, because I come back for you. Me I make Pastor Ricky same little bit, and then I come back for you. Go ahead, Pastor Ricky.
Yeah, what I wanted to add to the discussion is that if the Prime Minister was really standing with the JCF, he would have ensured that the 30% of houses that he planned to give to civil servant, like the nurses, teachers, doctors, and police officers, they would have gotten their houses. But instead, he only built 271 houses and gave them to labor rights supporters. So where is the 30% of the 70,000 houses that he promised to build to give to the public service workers? Not only that, but when we look at the young men that have been unalived by the police in extrajudicial killings, each person today, I think it's 107 to date. 107 person is just not 107 person. When we look at it from a deeper perspective, every person that died has an immediate family and an extended family. The immediate family is like baby mother, girlfriend, wife, children. Extended families are mother, siblings, that they grew up with, and father. So we're talking about 107 families that is now living with trauma, extended and immediate family, and yet the health system in Jamaica is not up to par to meet the needs of these families that have been traumatized. So when him saying stand with the police, he doesn't care about the families that are hurting, children that is left fatherless as a result of these extrajudicial killings. That's what I wanted to add.
Okay.
One quick second, Mr. You mentioned something a while ago about the salaries.
Yes.
No, let me talk to the police then. Let me just start to the police.
All right,
listen. They out there and not talk to not talk to our language, right? Out there and say out there watch protests and watch this and people are viewing and supporting and things like that, right? No. I want to remember, that it was about in January 2022 when a judge ruled that not get overtime pay.
Right.
It's accurate and you're not getting it on time because you have a manual system. And the judge issued an order saying that by March of the following year, the system must be implemented so you can get on a pay accurately and timely. And what happened? Nigel Clark gave JCF, gave the ministry the money to implement that system to digitize the whole thing. Now keep in mind, the police commissioner, when them claims him is a digital genius and him is a this and him is a that with computer. Yet still, to date as we talk, to date right now, as we remember this, we go back to 2022, as we talk right now, that system has not been fully implemented. I am still hearing about complaints that the policemen and women who put their lives on the line every day to protect and serve and reassure the Jamaican people that they are not being paid overtime accurately and timely. So we want that register with you now. So when you go there, I want to go about on people that fight against you know. If you look at who are fight against you know, the people who don't want to pay you know. And they will look for them. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Hold on the pastor. We can press gas to proceed. Now let me ask Andrew Hornet and Oris Cham this. If you stand in solidarity with the police, why the reason you guys are pushing out Chairman Rowan James? Answer the question. If you stand in solidarity with the police and you are in support with the police and you care about police, why Chairman James, right, is being pressured? What was the reason why Chairman James being pressured? Chairman Rowan James being pressured to the fact that he was on the front line counting for the benefits of police officers. And what did your administration have done to him? What did your administration have done to him? So I just want the rank and file police officers to know that him run out and talk about him and support some rogue police. You understand that's related to extrajudiciary killing. What happened to the belly of the police force who are doing the hard work, the hard men, the hard working men and women who have to go to the supermarket, who have family, who have to wait on that month, meager pay, the stipend, what you are giving them, and you in the meantime giving them stipend, giving the police stipend, giving the teachers stipend and other people's stipend, and you take 200 and 300% and go the turn about to stand with solidarity with police. Who stand in solidarity with police and the person who stand in solidarity with the police who kick him, who give him the boot? Want to give him the boot? No, but we don't know. We're going to straighten you out, you know. Now, as I said earlier, that you didn't stand with solidarity when we have a national icon. Me and you tonight. Me and you tonight. Where you have a national icon who have trained so hard, night and day, and bring Jamaica on his back. Bring Jamaica on his back. And what happened? What happened? You and your elite friend make a mockery of the man earning. Make a mockery of the man earning, rightful earning, and push him under the ground to suffer. That's what we do to Usain Bolt. That's Usain Bolt. Have to write a letter to Ibrahim Traore. Usain Bolt have to write a letter to Ibrahim Traore and telling Ibrahim Traore, in essence, what a good leader he is. Because Usain Bolt had seen in Ibrahim Traore what he would like to see in Andrew Holness. And unfortunately, you didn't have a Usain Bolt writing you a letter to admire your leadership, because your leadership is a spoilage. Your leadership is despicable. Give you a hint of the letter that Ibrahim Traore, that Bolt wrote to Ibrahim, and you, Andrew Holness, should have shamed yourself and your administration in terms of what you have done, Usain Bolt and other investors. You should have shamed yourself about your how they turn up the about your in solidarity with police. Are you paying your policemen and women good? Are you paying them properly? You boot out Rowan James. But if you hope that, you want to take them for that and want trick, you can't trick me again. Yeah, trick me again. Remember me tell you that. So let us show the letter. But Usain Bolt wrote to Ibrahim Traore, you should have shame Prime Minister. Andrew Wonderful should have shame your goddamn self. What this?
Sun seemed to paint the streets in golden hues. Ibrahim Traore sat in his presidential office. The air conditioning was insufficient to dispel the tension hanging over him as he reviewed crucial documents for the future of Burkina Faso. It was a morning like any other until a yellowed envelope caught his attention on the desk. He frowned upon seeing the Jamaican stamp imprinted on the plain paper. A letter from Jamaica? He murmured, intrigued as he carefully opened the envelope. Inside, he found a handwritten letter with firm and elegant strokes. The sender was Usain Bolt, the fastest man in the world. The letter began simply, "Dear President Traore." Bolt spoke of his childhood in Jamaica, of running barefoot through the streets of Trelawney, and of how he had always admired leaders who fought for their people. He confessed that, although they were different worlds, he saw parallels between his journey on the track and Traore's struggle for his country's freedom. Each word was an echo of respect and hope.
Mosquitoes ruining your summer? This lamp wipes them out in minutes. My wife and I used to spend our evenings.
Traore set the letter down on the table, lost in thought. He never imagined someone so distant and famous could take an interest in his small nation. He called his assistant, Halima, a brilliant young woman fluent in several languages and well-versed in the nuances of African diplomacy. "Halima, have you ever heard of Usain Bolt?" he asked. She smiled. "Of course, Mr. President. He's a global legend. But why would he write to you?" Traore shook his head without an immediate answer. Meanwhile, in Jamaica, Bolt strolled through the garden of his home in Kingston, reflecting on the letter he had sent. By his side was Marcus, his longtime friend and manager who had warned him about the risks of getting involved politically. "Aren't you afraid of being misunderstood?" Marcus asked. Bolt shook his head. "It's not about politics. It's about recognizing courage where it exists." He gazed at the horizon, thinking about how his words might reach someone so far away. Bolt's letter was more than just a simple message. It was a human gesture in a world often divided. For Traore, that moment felt like a breath of fresh air. Amidst the daily pressures of leading a nation in crisis, he felt a strange connection with the sprinter, as if both were racing against time, but on different tracks. The letter left deep impressions on his mind, sparking reflections he hadn't expected to have that day. That initial exchange, though silent, planted the seeds of something greater. As Bolt awaited a response, he continued to ponder the impact his words might have. In Africa, Traore knew he needed to reply, but hesitated. How could he put into words the weight of admiration he felt for a man who, though an athlete, understood so well the struggles of a people? The letter had touched something profound within him, something he couldn't yet name. As he read and reread Bolt's letter, Traore felt a mix of pride and responsibility. He knew his position as president was delicate, surrounded by internal and external pressures, but something in those words touched him deeply. He decided to respond. Sitting at his desk, he began writing, hesitant at first, but soon the words flowed like a river. "Dear Mr. Bolt," he wrote, "your letter arrived at a crucial moment for my country." Traore continued the letter by explaining the challenges Burkina Faso faced, from political instability to widespread poverty. He also shared stories of resilience, like those of women who farmed the land with calloused hands but strong hearts. "We are facing enormous challenges," he wrote, "but we also find strength where we least expect it. Your story reminded me that we are all runners, each on our own track." He called Halima to help review the letter, ensuring the tone was respectful yet sincere. She suggested including a reference to the resilient spirit of the Burkinabe people. Traoré agreed, adding a passage about how Burkina Faso, despite its difficulties, continued to dream big. When he finished, he sealed the letter and handed it to a diplomatic messenger, hoping his words would reach Bolt's heart. In Jamaica, Bolt received the response with surprise and emotion. He read the letter aloud to Marcus, who remained silent until the end. "He's poetic," Marcus commented. Bolt smiled. "Yes, and truthful. You know, I think I underestimated the power of words. We should do more of this, connect different worlds." He stored the letter in a special place, like an unexpected treasure. The letters began circulating between the two leaders, creating an invisible bridge between Jamaica and Burkina Faso. For Traoré, this correspondence was a way to escape the political routine and reflect on deeper issues. For Bolt, it was an opportunity to expand his worldview.
I want to show Jamaica, and I'm going to make the panel respond after, right, I read out some things. And to know Jamaica that the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, right here at home, but both from a distance away recognize what true leadership means. Recognize how a solid leader loves his people and work hard to pull his country forward. Andrew Holness could have never gotten a letter like that from Usain Bolt. What Usain Bolt had felt under the administration of Jamaica Labour Party government, bewilderment. His future has been ruptured. His future has been teared. And so then, when you see a leader, what we are talking about Burkina Faso that once was poorer than Jamaica, in more serious economic bind than Jamaica. But look what an inspirational leader had done. Number one, Burkina Faso GDP increased from approximately $18.8 billion to $22.1 billion. Ibrahim Traoré, he reduced the salaries of ministers and parliamentarians by 30% and increased those of civil servants. Remember, read about that over to Andrew Holness, what Ibrahim Traoré had done. He looked at the country and know that the ministers, the country cannot sustain those minister salaries. But look what Ibrahim Traoré did. He reduced the salaries of ministers and parliamentarians by 30% and increased those of civil servants by 50%. Andrew Holness, you will never ever do this. What you have done is to give the same policeman who you go there, the policemen and women who you go there claiming that you support, a meager salary they hardly can sustain themselves. Police are look hustling on the road. You have underpaid the teachers, and so then we have a brain drain. You have taken onto yourself 200 and 300% raise. What Ibrahim Traoré that had done. Reduce parliamentarian pay, right? 20% and add 50% to the engine of the economy, which is the civil servants. The engine of the economy. But what a criminal minded, a kleptocratic government did, but you're gonna stand up. Yeah? Ibrahim Traoré do this. He paid off Burkina Faso's local debt. He created 2 tomato processing plants, the first in the country. In 2023, He inaugurated a state-of-art gold mine to strengthen local processing capacity. He ended the export of Burkina raw gold to Europe. He built Burkina Faso second cotton processing plant. The country previously had only one. He opened the first ever national support center for small-scale cotton processing to support local cotton producers. You have one of your ministers, right, who have his company and bring in X amount of onion, crippling the agriculture. This is what you are doing. Me, you know, me and Ratigan, they are here tonight. Me and Pastor Ricky, they are here tonight. Melting pot have this ledger put on there, you know. So when time I call on Pastor Melting pot, I worries, you know. He banned the wearing of British wigs and robes in local courts and introduced traditional Burkina dress. He prioritized agriculture by distributing more than 400 tractors, 239 power tillers, 710 motor pumps, and 714 motorcycles to boost production and support rural stakeholders. He facilitated access to improve seeds and other agricultural inputs to maximize agricultural production. Now, I want to go down in the investigation. You know. I want to go down in the investigation to show you the type of government you are. And I'm going to touch Sarah Burton follow-up investigation. But before I go that, let me just go back into the panel and make the panel brush it, starting with you, Pastor Ricky. In terms of what I presented there, you have seen that Usain Bolt have no time to recognize Andrew Holness because there's no leadership coming from Andrew Holness. What Bolt has felt in Jamaica from an administration, a kleptocratic administration, has been a disgrace to him and a damn future.
Yeah.
From Jamaica, recognize Ibrahim Traoré through his leadership qualities and principles to move Burkina Faso forward. Ibrahim Traoré will never ever attempted to rob any of his sports icon. Ibrahim Traoré will never ever do that. You speak, Pastor Ricky. Take the lead.
Yeah, thank you, Sir Byron. Lady Anne-Marie, if you can take this down, thanks. So, basically, Sir Byron and Sir Ratigan, Sir Melting Pot, and everyone in the chat, what Bolt is feeling is a sense of betrayal. I listen to Bolt speaking to different on the fix. I follow him on X. I read some of his tweets, and Bolt know who stole his money. But I believe that, you know, because of his family, children, wife, mother, and prior to his father passed, he doesn't want to create any kind of backlash for him and his family. But Bolt know deep within his spirit the conspirators that have defrauded him and 200 other account holders in SSL. Now, when we look at both leaders, if we do a compare and contrast, both men came through humble beginnings. Ibrahim Traoré and the criminal prime minister we have. Both men came up out of poverty, so to speak. Jamaica, you know, is on the rise, but it's not there yet because of corruption. The resources in the ground to make Jamaica one of the richest countries in the Western Hemisphere. However, when we look at how the accomplishments that you read off that is going on in with Ibrahim Traoré in his country, when we look at what this prime minister has failed to do to enhance Jamaica, to elevate Jamaica, who promised prosperity but gave poverty, and the United Nations says that 2 million people in Jamaica, including children, go to bed hungry without a balanced nutritional meal. When we look at how this prime minister has demolished agriculture by cutting GCT taxes on raw products to take away the leverage from our local farmers and to create competition, but yet in Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré planted, cultivate, and his agriculture sector, he's building cars, he's building plane that got Elon Musk and them nervous. He's investing in the people. People are your greatest resource. This is what our prime minister does not understand or fail to come to the realization of. Without people, the work cannot be done. For example, in every corporation, firms, company, businesses, they have to hire people with the skill sets that's going to help the company to grow to the next level. Same thing with church. Pastors, we assign ministers and who can help the ministry grow to the next level. But in Jamaica, that's what Ibrahim Sharé did in his country. He kicked out the colonialism people, the French and the Americans, and get rid of them and took back his country from them. In contrast, in Jamaica, we have a prime minister that has sold out the WAF, sold out so many things to the Chinese and the Americans and the Russians. And Jamaica doesn't own anything in their own country. So yes, both feel away because he's been waiting for his money to return, going through bureaucracy and red tapes and denials. And he just felt like reaching out to a true leader. You know, sometimes in life when we find ourselves with our backs against the wall and we're in a crisis or between a rock and a hard place, you know, there are times we have to reach out to someone else and just vent. And I believe even though both praise him and congratulate him and show his admiration for him, for both, it was a release to reach out to someone with honesty and integrity, someone across the waters in a distant foreign land, that he saw the work of that leader that he admired, that he doesn't see in his own country. That is pathetic. And this showed that we have to get rid of this prime minister. He's uncaring, he's unloving, he's cold-hearted, he's brutal, he's wicked, he's evil, and most importantly, he's morally bankrupt. And so both in his pain, afflictions, and hurts, write a letter and I guess him find a new friend that he doesn't have in this prime minister in Jamaica. And it's a dark day for Jamaica, but big up yourself, sir. You saying about the icon, the legend. Best days are ahead of you when the government change and the Magnitsky Act goes into effect, and we can use the Magnitsky Act to get this prime minister out of Jamaica into Rockers Island or Alcatraz in the sea somewhere where him now have no way to escape. Back over to you.
All right, thank you for that, Pastor Ricky. But Melting Pot, let me bring you in the space now. Knowing to the fact that you have an icon, right, such a legendary, right, in Jamaica. You know, take the time out to recognize Ibrahim Traoré from a distance. It strike a chord in me that Bolt is searching for that leadership love that totally this administration denied him and treat him the worst. His wealth that he earned, and I mean blood, sweat, and tears to get all of that wealth. And a prime minister, when we look at it, Melting Pot, who's supposed to have the interests of every single Jamaican, but the prime minister, you know, collaborated with the Crascaries. We have evidence, you know, we can talk. Collaborated with the Crascaries. Mark Crascary had taken out an account in St. Lucia, and Jonas, and we're investing money going to that account. the viciousness. Take it away, melting pot.
Yes, Byron and panel. You know, tonight is a night where just when me hear the content of the letter we both write to Ibrahim Traore, you know, so it make me feel a way as if say, well then boy, me not have a country of birth, you know. Because nobody not interested in our leader, you know. First and foremost. And I mean, you know, it is of no secret that Andrew Wallace and the Jamaica Labour Party disrespect the icon Usain Bolt. And disrespect him in a way where them rob the man. You understand? Him and him friend them plan and rob Usain Bolt. Yeah? And if you notice, nobody from within Andrew Wallace party no come out and say one word that would have been of comfort to Usain Bolt. Them make a mockery of the youth. Them tell lie. Them go around with all type of fairy tale. Yeah? And at the end of the day, Usain Bolt still waiting on the money. So Usain Bolt now that Jamaican who have done so much in Jamaica. Yeah? It become, you know, disillusion with where I go on in Jamaica. With the government. More so Andrew Wallace. So Usain Bolt now see Ibrahim Traore now as a man where other type of specimen they would have look for in Andrew Wallace, you know.
Exactly.
That type of leadership quality there, you know. That type of respect for the citizen. You understand? But him not get it from him own country. But him can see in Ibrahim Traore that this is a great man that will revolutionize black people in a short space of time because the work where Ibrahim Traore are doing now. It a catch wildfire right around the world. You know. Everybody's been talking about this young leader. You understand? And the principle him stand for. And how generous him is to him own people. You understand? Because, I mean, we all know what the continent of Africa entails. It entails suffering, you know? And it entails a thing where you call inequality. It entails a lot of brutality within the structure of how people live in Africa. Because Africa is always a place where have civil war. But here is a man now who is trying to change the entire landscape of Africa by introducing wealth to the people, sharing the wealth of the country, slashing the wages of the bureaucrats, and increasing the wages of the civil servant. And not just increase it, you know, with a meager sum, you know, a 50% rise. No, would never get that from Andrew Wallace. But I sure know Ibrahim Traore did not promise the people in Burkina Faso prosperity. He never promised them nothing. He give them. Andrew promise and don't give. And this is the problem that Jamaicans have with Andrew Wallace as a leader. Not when promise, him don't deliver. Andrew Wallace as a prime minister is only taking for himself and him friends them and leave the electorate behind, the common man and woman from the underprivileged communities. He will leave them behind. And this is why I cannot understand why these people are still hanging on to Andrew Wallace. Because Andrew Wallace not have standing, you know. If Andrew Wallace did have standing, Usain Bolt would have write him a letter. Usain Bolt would have commend him like how him commend Burkina Faso President Ibrahim Traore. So this is just a plain and obvious reason for every Jamaican to know that Usain Bolt is disenfranchised with Jamaica and the people who run the country, the criminal them. Usain Bolt has lost his father, you know. And I know that this SSL saga is a contributory factor to the demise of Usain Bolt, Dad. Because, I mean, you could see the love and the camaraderie amongst the Bolt family. They were always seen together, out and about, enjoying athletics track and field right around the world. And I mean, they are his lifeline. And likewise, Usain Bolt is their pride and joy. And as a parent, you don't want to see nobody destroy your youth after him work hard to achieve. Plus, him also bring fame and glory to the country at the same time. So them disrespect Usain Bolt. And this is why we know, say, Andrew Holness, him not no moral. Him not have nothing about him. Andrew Holness is just a man where we can't wait to see the back of him, you know. We want to see the back of Andrew Holness climbing a black Marriott van and him way to prison. And that Jamaican really want to see. Because this man mash up the place in a way it cannot repair unless you have a good builder. No ordinary builder can build back Jamaica. You have to have a man with the brain of Mark Golden. You have a man, you have to have a party with a prospective candidate like what we see in the People's National Party. The brains them, the doctors them, the real doctors them we are talking about. The real lawyers them. You understand? So Jamaica now I go through a phase where I know Usain Bolt alone. You know, I feel the pain and the strain where Jamaica offer, we as Jamaican. The whole way I feel it. The whole way I feel it, you know, because we see where it take place in our country. And it take place by a man who should never be doing this to Jamaica. This is a man who's a product from the underprivileged communities. This is a man that say him don't bad mind nobody for nothing, but we see this man mash down people place. Send out people upon the road, go take with people livelihood, where them are hustle with. Set them back in a life. Him not care about the citizen at all in a Jamaica. And so when you have a guy like Andrew Holness, you have to get rid of him. And we know the Jamaican electorate and get rid of Andrew. So all the shenanigans with Andrew I try to exhibit and I go around and I do PR and publicity stunt. It's not gonna work because Jamaica has had enough of you now, Andrew Holness. Your one icon cannot endorse you as a leader for Jamaica. You might endorse a man where himself do real work. You might endorse a man where himself committed to him people in his country. You might endorse a man where himself exhibit vision and real change in his country. Not a guy who sit down when everybody asleep at night in my rob. This is how Andrew Holness doing. At night time, Andrew rob the country, you know. At night time. Andrew cut ribbon a day and rob at night. Tough Tongue do the same thing, go to them rope and rob people at night. The whole of them are night robbers. Remember when Andrew are going to Betrayal, him not go at day and him go at night. At night him go with the remote and up the gate. And in the building in pitch black dark. Whole in the dark. So Andrew is a night robber. And I yield back the floor.
Yes, Melting Pot, I tell them that you have the sledge, you know, and they need to be aware. No, Brother Rattigan, I mean, an icon, the legend, Usain Bolt, right, did not pen that letter as it relates to his prime minister. Because what Bolt's searching for, I guess he had found it in Ibrahim Traore. Take it away, Brother Ratty.
Yes, let me just go back a little bit and regarding the police and just make a quick statement saying that we have turned our policemen and women also into mercenaries because we send them Ghana, Haiti, and we are dependent on the largesse of the United States and others to support them financially. And we haven't gotten a report from them leave. I haven't heard a report about the status of our Jamaican patriots over in Haiti. That's one. Number two is Ibrahim Traore and Andrew Holness. One of them is a great leader and the other one is a great misleader. I leave it up to everybody to figure out who they are. And I think it was you, Mystic, or Milton, not quite sure. But somebody on the panel said that. I think it was you, Mystic, said that the Prime Minister promised a lot. Now remember the Prime Minister saying them don't be promises and then be commitments. Well, whether promises or commitments, delivery is key. Whether you promise somebody something or you make a commitment to them, delivery is key. And we have found him sorely lacking in the delivery department. Him good pan making promises. All them say make promises. He make promises. And we can show no way he make promises over and over and over and over again. He make promises, and then sometimes in corner say, well, I don't make promises, I make commitment. As if to say, him I go deliver. And him still not deliver. Now, regarding Usain Bolt, if you recall, shortly after the incident broke, he retained a law firm and his lawyer sent out a letter, in effect saying that SSL had 10 days to respond, give him money back, or else. How long ago was that? You see, an army can tell you, love you to death, but the gun gone off and you're still in on the blocks.
Get rid of
Just I
them.
hope you can catch the field. Just I hope you can catch the field. So I don't know if it's a 100-meter race or a 200, but if you are run against people like me, you will catch a field. So we can't wait for you to catch a field. What we actually are telling is that you need to do something.
Get rid of them. Get rid of them.
You need to do something.
All right. All right. Now let us juggle into the investigation with Zara Burton, and this one really interesting people. Now, last week we opened that investigation as it relates to 18 Degrees North with Zara Burton, right? As it relates to an ATI that been requested by Zara Burton. So we are going to get into it because Zara Burton following up on that investigation. So without any delay, all right, honey, let us get into 18 Degrees North, right? Zara Burton, and we are going to break that down. Remember that we spoke about the permanent secretary, Audrey Sewell, right? That Audrey Sewell is the master key for Andrew Holness, right? Utilizing herself, giving the kleptocrat access to the treasury. Now let us look. Here is Zara Burton again, April 25th, 2025. Jamaican government relents, saying it will grant access to water agreement with Vinci-led consortium, but document delivery to be delayed. You hear that, people? A few hours after 18 Degrees North last publication, calling into question the transparency of the public-private partnership based on Jamaica government's refusal to share documents as allowed under the Access to Information Act, the ATI. The state's National Water Commission reversed its decision. It said access would be granted to a copy of the PPP agreement it signed with Raya Kodri Water Limited, the private consortium led by a local subsidiary of French construction company Vinci. However, the NWC said it was requesting a period of at least another 45 days to send the 265-page document with all commercially sensitive information redacted. Then, here's the transparency. It continued in the event that the National Water Commission is unable to complete the reduction exercise within the above timeline. Hiding Zagwan. We commit to providing you with an update indicating same and advising of the additional time required to complete the reduction exercise. Can you imagine, people? This communication from the NWC on the evening of April 17 calls into question whether the NWC is intentionally dragging out the process And if yes, the question is why? Why is a minimum of 45 days needed to make a reduction to a 265-page document? How much information is likely to be redacted? It seems like, no, this is just unbelievable. This is just unbelievable, right? So indicative of this government try to suppress the information because they don't want people to know and understand the high level of corruption that is taking place. NWC, the delays. NWC first acknowledged 18 degrees north request for a copy of the PP agreement under the ATI Act on January 23, 2025. After 30 days, the NWC wrote requesting an additional 30 days to protest the query, which is allowed under the law. Then on March 14, 7 weeks after the original request, it wrote denying the request and that on the basis that disclosing the information would harm commercial interests and exemption allowed under the Act. Now, let me tell you something now with this. Some level of criminality are going on. Because as it relates to the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Finance, right, denied the increase of the rate, Remember, so last week we read it out as it relates to how the rate was increased and $2 extra billion added. People want to remember what you had read last week. So then what Sarah Burton want to know, right, if the cabinet sign off on this thing, but remember now, people we talk about Audrey Sewell, and that Audrey Sewell has the master key. You understand? To make sure that Andrew Holness have access to the treasury. So these are the things that we are talking about. Then on March 14, 7 weeks after the original request, it wrote denying the request on the basis that disclosing the information would harm commercial interests and exemption allowed under the Act. I lie them are telling them, cover up. Then no one Sarah Burton know what go on. 18 degrees now requested a review of the decision on March 19 on the basis that the Act still allows for disclosure of documents with the commercially sensitive information redacted. Now, its latest response means that the redacted document won't be forthcoming until the earliest June 1st, when you hear people. And then by June 1st, then go come up with some shenanigans, some bangarang again. Almost 6 months after the original request. More want to hear that, And all what Zara Burton is pursuing here is that an agreement that strike between the government, you understand, and a private sector organization, and where the government and the private sector organization agreed to increase the rate by $2 billion. That to me look like kickback portion, kickback money, And when they were doing that, remember, people, that you have a lot of countries, as it relates to Donald Trump tariff, were actually reducing their rates to minimize the effect of Donald Trump tariff. But Andrew won't let government not do that. Andrew won't let government increase the rate by $2 extra billion for the Jamaican people as it relates to this private entity who is going to take over the Royal Cobra thing for pump water to the people. So the people are going to pay the increase. Now, McCurry, another ATI request denied by NWC. This hasn't been the only ATI request denied by NWC this year, as 18 degrees now tries to understand whether consumer water rates will go up because of the project cost for the Royal Cobra water treatment plant increasing. See to know, people, because I'm glad how Zara Burton get back to it so people can understand it. So we could get in it now, people. We could get in the source. All right, so what Zara Burton is saying now, this hasn't been the only ATI request denied by NWC, this year, as 18 degrees now tries to understand whether consumer water rates will go up because of the project cost for the Royal Cobra water treatment plant increasing to what? $92 million, which is 14.75 billion Jamaican dollar, you know, people. 14.75 billion Jamaican dollars, you know, from US $76 million, which was 12.22 billion. So we are looking at an additional $2.8 billion where Andrew Wallace administered a lot of people. A lot of people, you want people get a third term. Now you go stand up. Your Horace Chang, where WikiLeaks are look for. No, you want Mr. Can't travel go nowhere. Go to know if you not defend police, which I do not pay the police. And still you come at you again when you're in private sector. You understand? They set up to increase this rate by additional $2 billion. You understand, to the Jamaica taxpayers then. No, you claim say. You understand, no new tax. And you make up with company. All the $2 billion we they tell the people a kickback. A kickback. A mix surge in the interest rate and no evidence of competitive bidding. On the same thing we are talking about. Remember Zara Burton. Let me talk to you, Zara Burton. Remember Zara Burton. You have to remember that Archie Sewell dead in. Zara Burton. You have to remember say Archie Sewell. Zara Burton. Let me talk to you about Archie Sewell. Zara Burton. Remember say Archie Sewell was the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education when Andrew only start the influencing of contract with Gavin in 2008. Zara Burton, yes, Zara Burton. Archie Sewell was the permanent secretary. Let me tell you some more things, Zara Burton. You don't know that Andrew Honest moved the same Archie Sewell through various ministries. And Zara Burton, let me tell you this. All of the ministries where Andrew Honest moved Archie Sewell. All of them ministries there. Billions of dollars unaccounted for. Yes, Zara. Billions of dollars unaccounted for. And you know what now, Zara Burton? Andrew Honest decided to say he want the master key. So Andrew Honest done. Andrew Honest promote Archie Sewell to cabinet secretary. What that means, Zara Burton? Simple means that Archie Sewell being the cabinet secretary, then Archie Sewell in charge of honor the permanent secretary them. So when you have on this now, we are the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Finance, we are favored, overruled, because the permanent secretary afraid of this, you know. And this guy say, she now put fair signature on this, you know. You know, so what favor do? Favor take it to now and carry on. And so then who sign off on it? No, Archie Sewell sign off on this. I tell you, Archie Sewell give Andrew Wallace the master key to do all of them corruption, yeah. You have to talk it out plain now because the people don't really understand it now. Even at this higher cost, the NWC regulator, the Office of Utility Regulation, that also approves consumer rates, into that the rates may not have to go up as a result of this project. If the NWC can lower the proportion of water it loses in the supply area to the mid 40% range, which would be a major improvement over the 70% of water that NWC has for decades, lost to issues like leaks and theft, meaning only 30% has traditionally been sold. But when 18 degrees north on February 14 requested information regarding the NWC's projected average rate of water loss for the project, the actual rate now for each zone within the supply area, which is supposed to include Kingston and St. Andrew, Portmore, and wider St. Catherine, and the proportion of 15 million additional gallons of water each day from the project that will supply each zone, the NWC denied the request on March 14 on the basis that this disclosure would prejudice commercial interest. No, they don't want Sarah Burton know what I want. Because all I go on, I mean, was Archie sign off on this sign. We're challenged by 18 degrees now about whose commercial interests were being compromised since similar information for some of the zones had been revealed. But in the past by one of the current ministries overseeing water, the NWC finally relented on April 14, 2 months after the original request, outlining that the so-called non-revenue water percentage for Portmore and the metropolitan area of Kingston and St. Andrews 45% each, and it was 75% for wider St. Catherine. It said the distribution of the water to the specific areas hadn't been decided as yet. As far as the project rate of water loss associated with the project, after the distribution lines to move water from the new treatment plant are replaced, the NWC stated that has not been determined if true that would call into question how the entity was able to get the project approved in the first place without that key bit of information to determine the project viability. But Sarah Burton, you have to remember again, Sarah Burton. No, I just swell that top, man. Swell that top, you know. And let me give you one more thing where you never know, Sarah Burton. You never know, say, Archie Sewell, father. Is Archie Sewell father, right? Who paid to kill a permanent secretary? Because the permanent secretary, as I come to him, now make the money run. If you remember the thing. So she is coming from a table where the DNA is criminality. That's the table that she's coming from, you know. Now, if true, that would call into question how the entity was able to get the project approved in the first place without that key bit of information to determine the project viability. Request about other projects also delayed by the NWC. They don't want to delay them. They don't want the truth to come out. They want to delay them. Even for a basic procurement request for a completely different project, the NWC replied that it needed more time. You hear that? Pay delay tactics. Pay delay tactics in Andrew Warner's administration. The request made on March 24 merely asked the question like, who is the contractor for the Western Parishes Water Supply and Resilience Improvement Program? When was this agreement signed? What was the procurement method used? The justification for this method and who approved the procurement method? Remember, you know, Zara Burton, under Andrew Warner's administration, they must see an account, you know. We are talking about procurement guidelines about Sarah. And Andrew Warner somewhere, Archie Sewell is the cabinet secretary. You understand? And never something can reach. Remember, you know, Zara, $3 trillion unaccounted for. And why the $3 trillion accounted for? You know many ministries, Zara Burton. The ministry's appropriation account, right, is not being reported annually. From the 9 years Andrew Warner's in power, none of the ministries submitting any procurement report. So what I tell you, Zara, bro? Zara, what I tell you? Nothing. No, Archie Sewell follow up on that for correct them gap there. No. You have to let it loose because money have to run. The treasury have to suffer. And inflation have to go up and kill the people. Remember saying it's a kleptocratic government we are dealing with. However, the NWC wrote this week on April 23 requesting 30 additional days to process the application. Here they again. Another May 7 ATI inquiry for copies of all contracts between NWC and Vinci over the last 15 years was also met with a similar request for an extension. That second 30-day period expires the first week of May. They don't want people to know the information. Whether all the information requested will eventually be forthcoming from the NWC remains to be seen. If and when the information is delivered, the extent to which reductions will complicate the public ability to understand the merits of these deals. May for yet another story. And sorry, you're right. They're going to kill you with reduction. If a 100 come don't know what they're going to redact, almost every word tonight, they are going to redact because they don't want people know the truth. They don't want people know the truth. Take it away. Let me go to that.
Yeah.
Something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Where the government and a private partner agree to increase interest rate to additional total of $2 billion for the people there. And yet Zara Bird is seeking the information as to why that is. During a time, you know, but Donald Trump, they fling out tariff, you know, and other countries are protecting their people, and you want to say, loose up that man. Yo, run it, man, pressure them, man. Additional $2 billion. We don't care about them. What say you, Rattigan, for the matter?
Well, let me just go back to the ATI that you filed. Under the law, you have 30 days. The entity, the ministry, department, or agency, has 30 days to respond to you. 30 days to respond, meaning that they acknowledge receipt, and they tell you, they give you the information, or they said, we're not going to give you the information, or they said, we need more time for the information. And that more time is 30 days under the law. So they have up to 60 days that they can hold you off. Now, if they don't provide you with information after 60 days, then you go to a tribunal, which I suspect is what you did. Because once they say they're not giving it to you, they don't reconsider. It goes to a tribunal, and then the tribunal will decide. So I guess you went to the tribunal, but what happened now is the tribunal said, okay, I would love to see what the tribunal said, because now what she's saying is, they said that we can give you the information, but we can't give it to you. We might have to redact the information based on, I think it's section, I'm looking at it here, it's section 20 of the access to information. And section 20B says that they don't have to give you the information. They don't have to, the document is exempt from disclosure if it contains information concerning the commercial interests of any person or organization, including a public authority, and the disclosure of that information would prejudice those interests. Now, here's where Zara have a case made. Based on what we've read so far now, it looks as if they're going to overcharge the public. This contract is not worth, it's worth far less than the agreed value at this point in time, which means that some kind of shenanigan are going on. So our argument has to be, no, we mean prejudice the interests of the parties involved. The parties really involved are the people of Jamaica. They're the ones who are going to have to pay this extra money. So therefore, this cannot apply. It would only apply in the interest where, in the case where the contract doesn't really have to do with the people of Jamaica, like in a water situation where they're providing a service. You know, I can't see where they could they could decide not to provide this information. However, they're going to give her the information, and I tell you what they're going to do. They're going to redact the hell out of this thing. Yes. And she's going to have to go back to the tribunal and say, listen, this document is useless. All I see here is just the name. I don't see the substance. You know, I don't see the provisions. I don't see the terms. Them take
out the context.
They won't black out the whole thing. They won't read that the whole thing and then just leave the names on and things like that. So, Zara, if you watch a program, and I hope you are, you need to prepare yourself to go back to the tribunal, because you're going to get a document that is useless to you. And this, again, I mean, if you read the Jamaican laws, you know, and I was watching the Prime Minister today, you know, watching his conference speech, and he was saying that he's going to establish a tribe, he's going to establish a group that they'll go back and they'll revisit Jamaican laws and update them. This is one of them that has to be updated, this ATI here, because believe me, I've gotten a ton of information, including today. I get information every week from them, but them have it full of loopholes, and we need to close these loopholes. I'll give you one quick example. I asked them to tell me about the gender policy, because the Prime Minister said him bringing the gender policy, and I said to him, and the gender policy, it says a whole bunch of things, but they said 3 things that every agency, ministry, and department must do. 1, you must have a focal person. You must have one person in every ministry, department, and agency responsible for this program. 2, you must have, them call it sex disaggregated information, meaning you look at how many men, how many women, you collect all of that, because you have to balance the workforce. And the 3rd one is you must have a program. Must have a program. Now, who's in charge of this? Babsy Grange, her ministry, but every ministry must do it. And when I ask Minister Grange is the only ministry in Jamaica with 2 permanent secretaries. It's one of the smallest ministries, and it has 2. Only one in Jamaica with 2 permanent secretaries. Dean Roy Bernard and the other guy who did it before him. I know them tell me, we need an additional 30 days to figure out who's in charge of this program. And we need an additional 30 days to tell you if the program is implemented. And we need an additional 30 days to tell you if we collect all the data. And while them do this, guess what them just done do last month? Them just have a month-long celebration where they must spend the taxpayers' money. And they must spend the taxpayers' money on a program that is not implemented. So how that go? So guess what now? The Prime Minister's office now, them think them slick. I'm sending it to the whole government. Them write me and them say them need 30 days. I say, take the 30 days. Them come and write me again this week and tell me, say, oh, it looks like you're asking the whole government and we're not responsible for the whole government partner. Write them back to the year and say, listen, just consider this request specifically aimed at the office of the Prime Minister. Then write me back this evening. Same day we have the conversation. Write back and say, Mr. Rattigan, no later than close of business tomorrow, you will have your answer. And you know what the answer could be? That them don't have a focal point, them don't have the sex disaggregated information, and them don't have a program. And this is what Jamaican taxpayers are paying every year, Every year they must pay for this program, They have big celebration at Pegasus. Who do you think pay for that? Who do you think pay? When they have all of the speeches and all of the functions and all that, who do you think pay for that? And that's why we are trying to get it, we are trying to sink it, we are trying to reinforce in the heads of Jamaican people that just because it might not appeal to you because your crime and your health, and don't think it not apply to you, because your money is spent for this. And I go back to what Jenny Calder said, a voter's responsibilities every 4 to 5 years you dip your finger in the ink. And if you think like a voter, you will be treated like a voter. But if you think like a financier, because everything that the government have, you finance it. If you think like an employer, because every 4 to 5 years they come to you for a job. And if you think like an owner, everything we see government have are the taxpayers' money. If you think like that, you will start acting differently, because there's no way you go and own a business and you just show up to check Panda business every 4 to 5 years. You're going to check Panda business there. Every day, you're going to check Panda business there. And that is where the Jamaican people fall flat on them face. We're not taking care of our business. We come every 4 to 5 years, dip a finger and think that is it. And I realize that we have the power. So, again, Zara Burton, prepare yourself. If you need any help, you can call me. I'm here at your service, because you're going to have to go back to the tribunal. They're not going to give you this information. I yield.
All right. Now, Melting Pot, you have seen the document that we presented. Take it away, my boss. All right.
Yeah,
cool.
First and foremost, as it relates to the JAM portal, and the access to information, that should never be denied. Jamaican should always have access to information from within the government office, irrespective of which one. Because we as taxpayers, we pay the bill. You cannot deny, or should not deny, the taxpayers access to information. So when we look and see how this regime operate. This regime operates under the nuances of dictatorship, where muzzle everybody, run where we for run where and deal with him for deal with. But we are make Andrew Holness know say we as taxpayers, as electorate, as patriotic Jamaican, will fight to the bitter end to make sure no say we have Jamaica where Jamaica should be, in the rightful hands of credible people, people with integrity, people with transparency, and people who don't have nothing to do with corruption. So all of these tactical delay where you see are because corruption involved. If these things was straightforward, you get the information. But there are things that need to be concealed, things that cannot reveal, things that doesn't look good. And so they contrive to hide information. Because since the upsurge of social media, and since we start to hold them accountable, a man like Rattigan pursue information from them, it's like them find themselves with them back up against the wall, because anything them put out, it falls, This government have one clean bit of information that they forget nobody, Everything a garbage. So this administration, as we know, them overrun every project. And them not overrun it by a small percentage, Large percentage. When I know millions or billions. Them guys not deal with hundreds of thousands anymore. That's a common assault. Them numbers, they are LCM, least common multiple. Them guys deal with big something.
HCF, highest common factor.
Well, there you go. You understand? I saw them operating. I tell you, say Andrew is a criminal at night, This guy cut ribbon and chat PR in a day and steal the taxpayers' money at night. Andrew Holness is a disaster in Jamaica. Because Andrew Holness mash up left, right, and center. Andrew Holness right now, That's why him have as theme, idea going forward. It's to buy time. But while him a buy time, Marky Gold him not tell him say time come. The people are telling him time come. But Andrew still a go to buy time. Now Andrew, if you're not lunatic, me no know lunatic, Trust me. Because you know the people that reject you. And you fight tooth and nail to see if you can repair something that is unrepairable. You mash up Jamaica in a way that me know say is a good builder to come back and build Jamaica. We can't take no local novice like you. We have to take people with great mind, people with integrity, people with honesty, people that we can trust, and people who have the Jamaican citizen future at their heart. We don't want a guy come say my prime minister where I run down 28 bank account. We don't want a guy where try bank account to show 473 million. We don't want a guy when you investigate into him financial, aspect of his life. He might tell you say one of them were 700,000 US at Jamaican dollars. But if I see never point out that, neither the bank nor him would know. Yes, it's Andrew a lunatic. Andrew, oh, you can have an account and you don't know what the account details is all about. You must know, say, if it's a US account book, you did go put the 700,000 in a. It can't be Jamaican dollars. And if it's a Jamaican account, you put the 700,000 in a. It could never turn US. But because Andrew Holness Only mode of operandus is to lie to the Jamaican public, trick them, con them, because of the Jamaican public as dunce. This is where Andrew Wallace work off of. The Jamaican people educational background. Him know the massive can't scratch the surface of what I deal with. So it left up to we, Titans, man like Rattigan, yeah, to fight this fire. Yeah. Because we have to out it, you know. Yeah, man. The blaze where Andrew create, man, we have to extinguish this, man. This have to out, you know. And we have to hold some boys accountable. And we have to apply the penalty on them guys vigorously. Don't look a small prison sentence cannot deter these people. So you see what we have to come with now in the future. I don't like what Andrew promised 900 days. Me know Marky G are going to make it be in law. Not the promise. Because Andrew promised but does not deliver. Remember, Andrew don't get 100 days don't get off the ground all now, you know. I'll know him 100 days. Not lift up yet. It's still up on the tarmac of Parliament. You understand? Or maybe up a Vale Royal. Look like up them have it. So we have to get rid of Andrew Wallace. We have to get rid of these agencies who, when you come out and you state the cost of a project, we don't want to see that cost there move in an astronomical way. We don't want no guy come tell you about fluctuation in our interest rate and all these things. And when it comes to access to information for any project in Jamaica, Jamaican people must be privileged to it. We are the taxpayers, we pay the bills. We choose you guys and put you in a space one for operators, workers of the country, not criminal in the country. We employ you, we are your employer. And you're working on behalf of the Jamaican citizen. But you know, we find with you, like, you know, your head now gather water, you know, when you see money, you know. And I one thing I tell you for do is to thief it. Yeah, I make no apology, you know. The amount of money we have, you know, Andrew. You have to thief, you have them the money there. You cannot work to amass that wealth and you don't have any business. Because I tell you that, a fraud business you set up, you know. You see all the chucking where you have there, that we investigate. I want to know who award you those contracts. I want to know if you award yourself. Because if me ever find out say you award yourself that chucking contract, you know, me I make sure no, me take everything I'll chuck all the tire that I want, you know, every money where you make, you know. Every bit of money you make, me want it back. Just for the fact that you operate illegally, you have to lose everything. And that is all you've been doing since you take office. Pure legal activities. As a prime minister, you need to mix up in a gutter water. And the whole fact of the matter. And I yield back the floor to another member of the panel.
All right, that is the melting pot, venting there. All right, Pastor Ricky, take it away.
Yeah, as we said before, the Integrity Commission need to have a conversation with Ms. Sewell. There's a lot of, as you mentioned, every agency she's affixed to, there is financial discrepancies. Now, for 15 years when I work with the federal government, as it relates to my grantees and having a portfolio of $70 million a day that I manage, there are times we had to get what we call FOIA requests. Freedom of Information Act is the same as the ATI. You know, it's just a different name. And we get these FOIA requests for information as it relates to a particular grant program that is under my portfolio, or anyone who works in the government, same thing. And we have at least 20, it's really 30 days but the policy say try to get it out within 20 days, just to, you know, help with the transparency of what the investigators are asking for. Now, it's a shame, and I agree with Sir Melton Pot that, you know, information that is requested for should not be denied unless, as he said, there is something that they're trying to hide. Now, when you look at the cost overrun, it's $2.5 billion. It moved from 12.22 million billion, excuse me, 12.22 billion to 14.75 billion, which is a difference of $2.5 billion, which sounds like that went into somebody's pocket. And this is how we see them operating with Conroe Regional Hospital, that went from 2 billion, went up to 5 billion, 10 billion, went in the teens, and now it's 23 to 26 billion cost overrun. And the interest rate, according to the document that you read, moved from 9.5% to 15.1%, which is an increase in the interest rate about 5.5% when everyone is cutting interest rate. So the extra funds that is generated as a result of the increase in interest rate, where is it? Who did it go to? Where is it? And these are the things that Zara Burton is trying to find out. Was this signed off on? Simple information like that. That's all she wants to know: who signed the document. Who? So when you look at the private partnership, public-private partnership, Vinci lead water plant project that they're working on, its cost overrun by 2.5 billion. It started out in 2022 from 12.22 billion, and it's at 14.75 billion. Well, we don't even know if it's an increase now, because just like Conroe Regional, they keep increasing, you know, the project costs. And so this is where Ms. Sewell needs to sit down. The IC needs to sit down with the permanent secretary, Ms. Sewell, and do a thorough investigation, because this government has a history of cost overrun on projects. This government has a history for no openness, no transparencies, no accountabilities, no honesty, no leadership, no openness, no selflessness as it relates to the 7 Nolan principles. And so what is it that they're hiding from Zara Burton? Something is wrong. I mean, if your documents is up to date and your ledger, your balance sheets, whichever descriptive adjective, your invoices, you know, you want to use to ascribe or attribute it to the project, every step of the way there should be some kind of documentation. So Zara shouldn't have to wait so long for them to say they need time, because you should have a paper trail of how you manage projects, and the project manager should have a lot of these things in his or her position to submit it. So it tells me, and everyone on the panel can agree, and those who are following the story, including Zara Burton, that we have another scandal in the Jamaica Labour Party. And this government is famous every week for 2 or 3 scandals per week. So we need to get to the bottom of this. And like Sir Rattigan said, I agree with him, because he's the king of ATIs. You know, Rattigan asleep on 2, 3 o'clock, the Lord wake him up and give him a vision for 5 or 7 ATI. And them dep on the case immediately.
You know, I 5 I filed yesterday. 5.
No, you're coming like Daniel on the bike. You just get visions after vision what for 5 for. So big up yourself. So like Sir Atigan said, now if they withhold information for more than 60 days, because as he said, and I follow him on his program a lot, and I heard him repeatedly say this, and he just said it a few minutes ago, that after 30 days, they're supposed to acknowledge the receipt of the ATI, and then they might say they need 30 more days to get the information together. Just like when we get a FOIA request, you know, we respond by email and says we have the receipt of the FOIA request and we're anticipating submitting it to you by that date. So after 60 days, Sir Atigan say, if it's something that they don't want to release and they redact it, then she can go to the tribunal. So I am so happy that there are steps in place to, overcome deceit and delays. So yes, I agree with you, Sir Atigan. She needs to go to the tribunal, but something is fishy. Something don't smell good about this. This is a scandal brewing, and she needs to get to the bottom of it. Back over to you, Sir Byron.
All right, good. All right, let us get into some heat now as it relates to Andrew Wallace.
Sir B, make I just drop one line.
Yes,
This new scandal, we are brew, as the Pastor Ricky said, known as the water scandal.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. All right. So let us get into Andrew Wallace and so-called agriculture movements that he's doing. Purely. And we are going to break it down for you people. Without any delay, let us get into this and hear what the man has to say that is concerned. Now, Andrew Wallace is so, panicking as it relates to the general election coming near. So he's very busy, right? Making out all the promises. And trust me, at the rate where Andrew is going now with the promising, we know him soon promise that Jupiter soon come to her. When you listen to him, people.
So all them a talk. And I call up the name. Them can't get me out of the game. So if Jamaica is to compete in its peer group, the way in which our intellectuals and some of our public opinion leaders think about our society will have to change and understand that what they held sacrosanct a decade ago does not hold today. We must be agile. We must become efficient. We must become more productive. And we must become more peaceful as a people. And that is what this administration is driving for. That is not with any sugarcoating. That is not with any beautiful speaking. That is just telling you what the realities are. So I appeal to you in this season. Pay attention to the global trends and consider which administration can best handle these difficult seas that the ship of Jamaica faces. Who can best carry us into safe harbor, and who has been carrying us in these difficult waters without any form of collapse, without any form of overturning, without going astray, running aground. It is this administration. And so every week, that never happened in the history of Jamaica, every week, I'm in the field doing this, handing over a major project, turning on a water supply, housing scheme, everything we're doing. Absolutely. Because we have been a working government, not a promising government. We are a working government. We are delivering to the people.
Take him out.
Bearing in mind that our development must be.
Take him away. take
That
it away.
garbage they need to put outside, man. That garbage just smell up the place, man.
So let me take a Ratigan. So Ratigan,
Laughing.
talk you talk. You can't have the progress. Melting pot. All the talk you talk. You can't have the progress. All the talk you talk. Pastor Ricky talk and I call up on Johannes' name. Can't stop the progress. And all the talk me talk. We can't stop the progress. Okay. No, but one thing Andrew only said, I'm going to say, no, man, don't go on. Come like that, the first shoot near proud time out. My name said, so I appeal to you in this promising season. So it is the time now for promise. Remember that. Remember that is what Andrew only said. So I appeal to you in this promising season. You understand? So at the season for promise. So then, all right. You hear it talk about farmers, this and that and all of that. But people hear the truth under Andrew Owen's administration. Let me give you the evidence. There is it. Right? But let me give you the evidence of what farmers are complaining about. Let us get into this. Look at this, people. So he spoke about interest, right, in terms of project. But this is the truth as it relates to no interest Andrew want to have as it relates to agriculture or agriculture sector. Number of local farmers continues to dwindle, right? Now, agricultural experts have expressed concern over an increased number of youths existing in the sector. Recent data published by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica show a decline of 6.9% or 13,000 employed persons in the occupation group, still agricultural and fishery workers. The decline in the sector's workforce comes against a backdrop of record low unemployment rates across Jamaica. Some of the worst affected areas of the sector include the coffee industry, which has seen a drastic decline in farmers over the past 2 decades, dropping from 15,000 people in the year 2000 to less than 5,000 coffee farmers today. Look at it, people. Look at it. Right? Dropping from 15,000 in year 2000 to less than 5,000 coffee farmers today. We can't get people to work. People are moving out of farming. Then as someone, president of the Coffee Growers Association, told Jamaica Observer in an exclusive interview, we can't guarantee employment to the people, and so they are going somewhere else to get work. See the evidence of people? More people are looking to take up jobs under the occupation group, service workers and shop and market sales workers. But the largest increase in workers stems from the industry group, real estate and other business services, which includes workers from the business process outsourcing industry, commonly referred to as call centers and construction. Look what Jamaica gone to. The agriculture sector is suffering from limited financial resources and funding. Right? It's an expert attack here in Jamaica. But the fact is that when the youngsters look and see the tourism or financial service industry being propped up, and here what now? The tourism industry being propped up. Remember, you know, 85% of the money that the tourism industry generated is not circulating in Jamaica. So we need to understand that. Nobody is going to be interested in agriculture. The president of JS, Lenworth Fulton, said, no, we don't look on the Jamaica Agricultural Society, saying that despite its declining employment numbers, Jamaica agricultural sector currently contributes roughly 8.3% of GDP agriculture. Minister Floyd Green aims to get it into the 9th mark. To hit the target, the government will provide about $1 billion in production incentive and $800 million to the Farm Road Program. Additionally, works and irrigation system in Parnassus, in Clarendon, and Amity Hall in St. Catherine are targeted for completion this year. Now, let us take that away, right? Show that we are losing out as it relates to our agricultural sector. Let us go to this next clip, right? Now, people, when we said it is a promising season, because remember Andrew was still on, you know. So we are going back from the history of promising to now, because a promising season. So let us play that. Silly season. All right.
Things that I know affecting whole heap of people in Jamaica is the high electricity bill. When the PMP come into power, them say them going to bring down electricity costs. What has happened since? Electricity costs keep rising. They promise that by 2016 they would have the JPS more efficient with more efficient plants. That's not going to happen till another 2 years. And before you know it, it will be another 3 or 4 years before them actually do it. The Labour Party will make sure that we put in place more efficient electricity generated plants to bring down the cost of electricity to you. I don't like to promise. I make commitments. And under the Labour Party government, we are going to ensure that we bring to this country the big power plants. We are going to ensure that we bring to this country the big energy companies that can put the money in here to build the plants to give you cheaper and better electricity.
Take it away. Now me catch him here saying, people. I hear to me catch him in. People who remember everything what I'm saying. Him no make promise. He make commitment. And when he goes into power, he's going to ensure that he bring down the cost of energy. Remember, so we all hear that, people. Now, at 2015, and the campaign, he said that in 2015, look what Andrew Holness had done. Because he promised that under his administration, he's going to ensure that electricity cost lower for the people. Let me show you the evidence of what Andrew Holness did after you vote for him and put him in power. Look what he did. Let us get to the document. Let us show the people the information. Let us bring out the truth. Let us bring out the document. When you look now, people, this is the government paper. So, Marlon Morgan can't help him for one. Marlon Morgan can't defend him. Because me have him in the net. See the paper, see the evidence here. Paper, military paper number 17. Revenue measures for fiscal year 2017 and 18. Remember I promised, to reduce energy, We want to show Minister of Finance and the Public Service, right? We want to show you what Adley Shah, what tell Adley Shah to do. People, come. That's why I play the clip then. To show you our promise that we're going to reduce energy. When you look at people, when you come here. Revenue measures for financial year 2017 to 2018. The House is being reminded, here are people, of the policy commitment to shift the burden of taxation from a system of direct taxes to a simplified system of indirect taxation. So when Andrew Holness I said, no new tax. All what Andrew Holness did skillfully is to shift it from direct tax to indirect tax. Me I show you the evidence. So when Andrew Holness is saying that there is no new taxes, all what Andrew Holness did in the evidence here, people, is to shift it from a taxation from a system of direct taxes to a simplified system of indirect taxation. I want to get it now. Consumption tax, GCT, and special consumption tax. Right? Okay. It will also involve balancing consideration regarding tax rate increases versus a progressive broadening of the tax base by reducing exemptions. What's this now? This reform must also satisfy the objectives of revenue sufficiency, emphasize equity with regards to the burden of taxation, and facilitate administrative efficiency. It is within the context that the following mix of measures are proposed to be implemented for fiscal year 1778. No, 1718, sorry. Special consumption tax. See the breakdown there. See a lot of breakdown there. We are going to the detail. Right? We are going to get into the detail. General consumption tax. Right? Those are, you know, let me get into the detail. Summary of measures. All right, people. Let me get into the summary of measures. A summary of measures together with the expected revenue impact is provided in the table below. All right. Now, here's the taxes. People in clear evidence. Special consumption tax. Increase excise and pure alcohol from 1,120 per litre to what? 1,230 per litre. This racked up $403 million in taxes because this field here represents in the billion. So this is 0,403 million additional in taxes. I want to understand the chart. Increase excise and tobacco products from $14 per stick to $17 per stick. Gave Andrew Holness administration an additional $826 million in tax. Increase in specific special consumption tax and fuels. Andrew Holness add that and achieve $7,459 million worth in that. We're going to look at general consumption tax. Apply GCT at 16.5% to group health insurance. How much that come to? $1,884 million. Reduce the threshold for the application. You know, people, back around this. See we catching now? Portia Simpson-led government, and we want to understand this line here. Portia Simpson-led government create a protection as it relates to reduce the threshold to create a threshold of 350 kilowatt hours per month. So you have to reach the 350 kilowatt hours per month before tax chipping. I want to understand this. But what Andrew Holness did, look what the wickedness what Andrew Holness did. At 2015, Andrew Holness tell people and saying, when he gets into power, he's going to reduce the energy cost. And Andrew Holness said that, Jamaica people want to see it. Here what Andrew Holness do. The first time, 2017, he want to do 1 year, and the following year, look and kill the people. Reduce the threshold protection for the application of the GCT and the consumption of residential electricity from 350 kilowatt per month, to 150 kilowatt per month, Slash it by 200 kilowatt, So that means for residential users, from once you use and reach 150 kilowatt, the tax automatically chip in by you, in a Porsche-Simpson-led government, them have the threshold protection at 350 kilowatts. And what Andrew wants to get from it? $1 billion, $498 million. May I show you the evidence how wicked this man is. Take it away. Now, Brother Ratty, again, when I see something like that, I played that shit in 2015, the man campaign. And the man had said, they complain about the high energy class. At the time when he was complaining, the threshold for kilowatt usage as it relates to the residential usage was 350 kilowatt per watt, to protect those users. That means that they have to catch the 350 kilowatt usage, right, before tax comes in. What Andrew Wallace did? Andrew Wallace went in and reduced that by 200%. Slash it to 150. That means that from once the residential users is going to consume 150 kilowatt, the tax fine. What you say in terms of this wickedness, Brother Attiga?
See, that's why we encourage our people to tune into these programs, because the purpose, one of the purposes of this program, these programs, is to educate you. Another one is to have you think critically about these issues. Because when the Prime Minister says words like there has been no new taxes in my administration, on one level you might look at it and say, well then, yeah, I'm right. But what you just show is that him do it without doing it. Him do it without doing it, because all he had to do was just lower the threshold, and even if the tax is still the same, guess what? It kicks in at a lower threshold, so now you're going to pay more taxes. Because before the tax would chip in at 350, now it's 150. So people, that's why we're saying, open up your eyes and see for yourself. Open up your eyes and think for yourself, because these are the things that they're coming at you with. No, he said, and don't make promises, even though it's a promise season, you make commitments. One of the commitments that they'll do is they'll come out pretty soon with something called a manifesto, which we call Morgan's manual, because he said that he's the one who edit them things. Yeah. So when, in order to get the other people, you have to go through him. And one of the reasons why we give him stakeholders status in it is because I've never heard of an editor editing something without reading it. That's the whole purpose of editing, that you take it and you look at it and you make your changes. But they're going to come out with it, and they're going to come out with a whole bunch of promises, and here's what they'll do. Because they know we're watching it now, we are discuss it every week. But they'll come now and they'll come and they'll list about 100 things and say, look at the things we have completed. But I want you to remember, family, that of the 100, remember, I'm going to show you 100 things, This one, in deserve the name Houdini. Houdini wholeness. Because magic in my work, pound, Magic. Yes, magic in my work, man. I have my brother say, the David Copperfield of politics, because in my work, some serious magic. Because I'm going to show you 100 things. And this hand, I'm going to show you 100 things. But don't be distracted. Look on this other hand. Look on this hand. Because you know where you're going to see why you saw? You're going to see the 900 things we not do. He promise you 1,000. He tell you, he do 100, and I'm going to spend all that time telling you about 100, But you need to focus on the 900, and that's what we're doing with these manifestos, because these manifestos, they are the blueprints. They are the roadmap to the so-called prosperity. But guess what? It's all magic. It's all a facade. It's all a mirage. And at the end of the day, I want all of you to ask yourself this question. Are you better off now? Or were you better off back in 2016? That's all you have to do, Because him said one of the mandates of the JLP government is to move people from the poor class to the middle class.
Yeah.
The middle class to the upper class. And I want to ask all our family members out there, how many of you can honestly say that you've moved from the poor class to the middle class since 2016? How many of you?
Well, the poor class get bigger and the middle class dwindle.
Exactly. It had the opposite effect. At the opposite, it's supposed to increase the class, supposed to increase and go up, but it decrease and it decreasing going down, and then it just fatten up the poor class.
Yeah.
This is, and people don't make them fool. And for all the people who cuss me all the time and say, boy, you know, look on the PNP manifesto. We said to them, say, listen, in 2016, what happened to the PNP manifesto? The people rejected the PNP manifesto. And in 2020, what did they do? They wrongly rejected it, because if you remember in 2016, the PNP lost by 1 seat, right? And after 2020, how many seats they have in parliament? They have 14, right? The other side have 49. So why should I spend my time now being distracted? I go talk about something that never came into being. I must talk about something that is in being. The JLP running the government, they control the purse strings. They control the purse strings. So why should I go waste my time now go talk about what the PNP said they would have done when the PNP never got the chance to do it? It's the JLP. The people say, we want a change. And that's fine. But this change is not one bargain for me, guarantee you. This change is despicable. This change is wicked. This change is evil. I cannot begin to tell how many people go Jamaica and come back and tell me, say, boy, it's rough down there, you know. Up to tonight, a virgin man tell me, him say, when you go up on the corner, you know, the people them swarm, you know. Everybody I look at him because there's nothing going on. Them tell you, if you go back and you look on Morgan's manual in 2016, them tell you about all the jobs them are creating, all the high-paying jobs them are creating. And you know what me do? Me go to starting and say, give me the stats on all of them jobs that will get created. All of the categories, you know, housing, construction, manufacturing, tourism, all of them. When you look on it, it's a startling revelation, because all of the high-paying jobs that them promise, them turn out to be minimum wage jobs, or slightly above minimum wage. And then them come out and say, oh, the unemployment rate is the lowest it's ever been. That's a lie. That's a lie. Crazy. First of all, them create a whole bunch of service-related jobs where you get paid minimum wage. And then the second thing is, starting itself will collect the stats. Say, listen, from January 2024, we start to measure using a new methodology. And that methodology cannot be compared to what existed before. So the lady said, you can't make a comparison. You have to start with where you are from January 2024. You can't go back and say it's the lowest it's ever been. It's because it's two different systems. And I'll tell you one of the major differences. Major difference is that before, if you were unemployed, looking for a job, not looking for a job, you were considered unemployed. No, if you're unemployed and because you give up, you're not looking for a job, guess what? You're not unemployed. In order for you to be considered unemployed in Jamaica using this new methodology, you must be unemployed and you must be actively looking for a job. So if you were looking for a job before and you just tired, you can't get it down, work out, you're not employed. You're not employed. And remember, no, they only come 1 week. They measure it 1 week during the quarter, the first week every quarter. So January the first week. So if them come January the first week and you get a job, I cut the lawn. That 1 week when them come. But for the rest of the quarter, through the end of March, you don't get a job. Guess what? You are considered employed for the quarter. For the entire quarter. So people, don't make them fool and come with all them nonsense here. Please, me ask you, me beseech you, me beg you, continue to support programs like this program. Continue to tune in. Continue to be educated. Continue to become critical thinkers, so that when they tell you something, you know, you ask yourself, why? What does that mean? Don't make them just use beautiful words like a string of pearls and it just sound mellifluous to you, and you say, whoa, yeah, that man I know him I talk about. Because remember now, we hear about a man named Clark, Nigel Clark. I remember that famous speech, the algorithm speech, otherwise known as the logarithm speech, otherwise known as the tropical rhythm speech. No, understand me matter about. And all of the system never work, our code we can't.
But I think him never understand what matter about it.
He never understand. He never believe him I say, I never understand me. But people, this is where you come back to school. The Jamal program was such a wonderful program, but we have strayed away from it. We have eliminated that program. But this is Jamal 4.0. We need to come around here. Come around here, people. We are big on especially now because in the few months we're going to have a decision to make. And all I'm saying to people, I said it to them before, I've never enumerated, I've never voted. But all I'm telling you is that I'm not telling you who to vote for. All I'm saying, just go back to 2016, look at the promises made, and come now and look at the promises delivered, and the choice will be clear. I yield.
What a wonderful input coming from Brother Ratty there. Now, Melvin Pat, you are going to close the night, so we just keep you back in terms of the closure. All right, Pastor Ricky, take it away. Because get into the mix.
Yeah, thank you, sir, Byron. When the Prime Minister speaks, he used a lot of theatrics, semantics, and gimmicks. And we have to read between the lines. I don't know if he was trying to be sarcastic in the first video you played, but for him to declare that there is no other government can fix the problems is ridiculous. The only problem that he as a prime minister or government has faced in Jamaica that no other else government has faced is a global virus in 2020 that affect the whole entire world, and the world was shut down, never before. But as it relates to other problems, every prime minister in Jamaica faced hurricanes, tropical storms, depressions, floodings, potholes in the roads, borrowing money from the IMF, dealing with the austerity measures that's associated with it. So to be deceitful as he was, to present himself as the only government that can fix the problem is ludicrous. Now, the next clip you play as it relates to the farmers, just like teachers, nurses, doctors, police, who is leaving Jamaica in droves because of the brain drain, the farmers are leaving Jamaica too. The problem with this is that the politicians, his government is giving out a lot of farm work, that the farm work program, that Canada is taking a lot of farmers from Jamaica. The United States is taking a lot of farmers from Jamaica. And this has been going on for decades. So one of the things that his government has done, which is very devastating to farmers and agriculture, last year in the budget debate 2024, Nigel Clark, which was his last budget debate, stated that they were going to cut GCT on raw products. So when you cut taxes on imports, you take away the playing field and the leverage that the local farmers have. So now you create competition with imports from overseas flooding into Jamaica, and that could create competition. So now our local farmers are discouraged because the law of supply and demand, the demand is up now for imports. And so and then now their products is not being sold and it's rotting. Not only that, but when you look at the deficit between imports and export, this government created that. He's not telling the people that our imports is $5 billion more than what we export in Jamaica. And so that deficit is devastating to the farmers. So yes, farming, and that's why a lot of people get discouraged. And I have friends who are farmers. I talk to them every day, to be honest, and they're hurting. And some of them even have got no help from since Beryl, waiting on RADA to help them. No election time, them give them a bag of fertilizer and some chicken feed. And I mean, it's all cruel what they do to the farmers in Jamaica. And then the last clip you played with him talking about bringing in the heavy, big power company. Listen, the problem with electricity in Jamaica, costs, utility expense, is that the power company that we have now in Jamaica has no competition. They need to break the monopoly on JPS and bring in competition from overseas, because they alone have the monopoly and they determine how much the price will be for electricity. Now, when Mama P was in government, they had this safety net of 25% per kilowatt. This, under this prime minister failed leadership, it's 50 to 54 cents now per kilowatt, doubled the price it used to be in 2015. So what we're having in Jamaica right now, and if you talk to people in Jamaica, as I do every day, they're paying high electric costs of $15 to $20 to $25,000 per month that they never used to pay till this government came in. Azan, the PSOJ, Richard Azan, cry and says them profits cut in half. The economy is shrinking. Them now make no money, but them overhead expense like utility, rent, and so forth, water bill, light bill is high. And so one of the reasons why we don't have foreign companies coming into Jamaica to set up shop and invest is because of the high utility cost. To create production, it's gonna cause them to use up so much electricity kilowatts that it's gonna eat into their profit margin. And so nobody goes into business to take a loss, to break even. Everybody goes into business to generate revenues and create profits. So his failed policies, as you show the ministry paper from 2017 on the Audley show, their former Minister of Finance, how they dropped the kilowatts usage per month from 350 to 150 to widen the pool to make more people pay taxes on utility. This is a wicked, cruel, brutal government that is uncaring, don't care nothing about the Jamaican people. They care about revenues and making money, filling their craw. One last point. JPS is owned by the Japanese and another country, I forgot the name. But then this government,
Korea.
huh?
I think it's Korea.
Korea. Okay, thank you. But this government owns 19% shares in JPS right now as we're speaking. So whenever they're making revenues and profits from JPS, and whenever costs go up, like we saw doing Betrayal, them raise up people price for electricity, and then Daryl Valls came out talking about acting like he's having sympathy for the people, but not telling the people that they're making 19% off of the profits of JPS. So these are problems that we have identified that needs to be changed. And I know that when Comrade Philip Powell take the reins in the next government as the new energy minister, these things, because his vision, if Mama P had won, we Jamaican would not be paying so much high electricity bill right now. Over to you, sir.
All right. Thank you for that, Pastor Ricky. Melting Pot, close the night for us now, as it relates to your
Yes.
response.
Well, I mean, tonight has been a wonderful night. You know, a lot of discussion as it relates to plenty of water under the bridge.
Yeah.
One such water is this big energy supplier where I come to Jamaica as where Andrew Wallace promised the electorate in 2016, 2015 leading up to the 2016 general election. But if you notice when Andrew mentioned that, you know, it's like a crescendo, a celebrated nice. But one thing them never listen. Them never listen. Say Andrew never call the name of who this big energy supplier will be. I don't know of any energy supplier when name big power energy supplier. It have to have a name. If a BP, if a Shell, whatever. So them just make a bag of noise and never hear say Andrew don't call the name. So me I tell the people them when you not listen politician. Before you give them this fanfare, listen what them I say keenly. Because if you not listen, they will trick you know. And in the case of Andrew, another trick, he might lie to you know. What Andrew do is insult to the intelligence as electorate. Him take on for dance. Andrew take on for some people, you know, where walk pound the ears. You don't hear nothing. You don't need hearing peace. So, what we are telling Andrew, this time, remember, you can't promise the people them nothing. Yeah? And it's one reason why you cannot promise Jamaican electorate anything again. Because you never follow through with your commitment. As I said, not even your 100 days get up off the ground. It's still up on the tarmac in a parliament. You understand? And we cannot have you continue this PR. You say you're the hardest work in government. Which part? Hardest chop in government. You chop Jamaican money. You don't build nothing in Jamaica. You have a little guy, Warthog, Broadback. I don't know what I'm doing, because I cannot help you. Yeah? This guy cannot help you because this guy don't even know the history of Jamaica. So I'm not going to know who build what from who never build nothing. Yeah? So what I'm going to do now is, as the Ratty said, create something of him own. He must seek a legacy before him leave the political arena. But nobody not going to use film manual, you know. Because film manual will malfunction. That's one manual that I guarantee will malfunction. We don't want no tool where the GLP them create no more. 9 years, I'll be a damaged tool. Ineffective tool. The tool don't have, it can't do no work. And in so keeping, the electorate reject you know. The worst government ever for assembly in Jamaica, man. The most corrupted government for ever assembly in Jamaica. The thief in this government for ever assembly in Jamaica. The liar this government for ever assembly in Jamaica. The most corrupted government for ever assembly in Jamaica. And the government will don't deliver upon not even 100 days. This Andrew Wallace regime is a no-go show. We can't have you upon the road no more. You have to leave the political arena, Andrew. You're not supposed to be on the ballot box, neither your face nor your name. You leave the space, man. You're not ashamed. What's wrong with you? Size 13 can dry up some more and make you know so well now you bring down the entire holiness, you know. That's all they ever call all the pathole Andrew Wall. If you talk to your man, man broke all him neck in Andrew Wall, you know. And Andrew still neglect the pathole him. Eh? Everything what Andrew do to Jamaica, it hurt Jamaican home and abroad. And so in terms of Andrew popularity, it has dwindled.
Yes.
It has dwindled right down to gravy. And I am just reminding Andrew Wallace that if your seat where you have, it gone. It gone. Because them lake where you have and them pan where you have round in a year, you ready? Them they never did before, you know. And since you come and through your neglectfulness, just the Jamaican road them mash up. And through your neglectfulness, you know, why the economy crash, you know. But you talk about how you work. Then if you work, Andrew, or the economy crash. That's Jamaica in a recession, heading to a depression. Tell me now, but you work, all this work in government. We should have see productivity. We should have see increase now with GDP. So Andrew, when you talk with some sense, because remember we run here, we go fact check you. And any economy where grow, your GDP will rise and the index will show that. Yeah? People are going to have money to spend. The corner shop, them are going to buzz again. Everything flat in Jamaica, you know. I suffer, Jamaicans are suffer. But the mistake what Jamaican make is to listen. You are make nice and never listen carefully what you say when you tell the lie. And I leave the program tonight. In the name, the word is love.
Word is
so
love.
You don't know, comrade. I want love to say no. Power for the people every time. Power for the people.
Power for the people. All right, we love that. And that is what. All right, yes, go ahead, Rafi.
No, before we go, we just want to remind people that there's a Magnitsky petition. We send it to you, but you can put it up next week. Magnitsky petition. We need people for sign up. Yes. We need 10,000 signatures to go along with the work product. We want to thank all of the people who work on the gross human rights violations, the kleptocracy, and the corruption pieces to this thing. And we're going to send it out to the various government where they have Magnitsky laws to enforce against any country involved in these things. And then the second thing is on the 21st of June, we have something called a reconnection rally to be held at the Ronnie Williams Center in Jamaica. We're telling the people of Jamaica and to come with your families. It's a fun-filled day. It's a day where they'll be entertained, also educated. We plan to have books, toys, clothing, entertainment for the children, and we're also going to feed people. We plan to also bus people in, people who can't make it and from far away places. We plan to bus them in. So, and we have two topics we're going to talk about. Two topics, and the two topics will be the cost of living and the Constitution. And it will be seen through the eyes of civics, because we want to bring our people back to the realization that it means something to be a Jamaican. You know, it means something. A lot of us don't know what it means to be a Jamaican, because it takes civics out of the school. So we're going to use it go through the lens of civics and educate our people. So again, that date is Saturday, June 21st, and it's a free event. So we're asking for donations, whether it's clothing, bookstores, or money. And we will continue to ask you, because this is something that we must do. And by the way, we're getting the permits, and we know so they might try sabotage the thing, but we're letting the people know that this is what we're doing for you and for ourselves as also, because we involved in it. And if the government should have stopped it, I just want them to remember who stopped it. I want them to remember, because they're not doing this. They will never look on King's House. The man go pick our Aki and him in a prison. Right? I would give the Governor General $750 million last year, and the man right now one party for poor people. So no comes down on the land and just have one day. Nothing. And here it is now. We are come now and we are going to do something for the people. So if them stop it, people, I want to remember who stopped it. I want to remember who I put it on. I want to remember the purpose of putting it on, and I want to remember who I plan to stop it. So thank you for the time, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, Ratty, for that. And people,
Ratigan, we having a show. You having a show tomorrow, Ratigan?
Oh yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, tomorrow for the first time in about 3 weeks. Yeah, we have Comries with Ratigan. Forget it. All right. Tomorrow, I've been gone for quite a while. So Dr. Ben has been hosting it. So tomorrow, thanks for reminding me, lady.
All right.
So tomorrow at 8:30 on Reggae Global Radio, we'll be having Come Reason with Ratigan. And we'll be taking your phone calls. We'll be talking about some health stuff and some political stuff as well. So join us for that.
All right. Blessings. And people, Want to say big thanks to you all to come out and tune in to Mystic Sensation and listen to a wonderful panel of talented minds, well, critical thinkers, Pastor Ricky, Melting Pot, and of course, Brother Ratigan. Gentlemen, I want to say a big thanks to you tonight for your input. Really wonderful. Appreciate it.
Everyone,
Yeah,
blessings. Have a good night.
Blessings.
Respect.
All right.
All right. Safe travel on the gravel, guys. Have a blessed night and a wonderful rest of the week.